Hello, welcome to the Decorators Den podcast with Baz and Sean. This is episode 8 and we are proudly sponsored by Nap and Bristle Decorating Supplies. Go and visit their website at www.napandbristle.co.uk. Hi
And
Sean, how are
remember,
you?
I'm good, but remember, troops, when we get to 300 subscribers on YouTube, we're giving away the goodie box. So we're closing in on it, boss. Every day we're getting more and more
Yeah,
subscribers.
yeah,
This week's episode, we are joined by Georgie Roberts, the founder of Cosy Room Interiors, based in the northwest of England. She covers Cumbria, Lancaster, and North Yorkshire. Is that right?
Yeah,
Um, Georgia runs a business known for high-end finishes, spray specialists like for kitchens, UPVC, bespoke furniture, and also full interior decorating projects. She's also the founder of the FITT movement, let's call it. It's females in the trade, a growing community focused on empowering and connecting women across the trade industry. Throughout FITT, Georgie's been helping to raise awareness, create opportunities, and give women a stronger voice. So, how are you, Georgie?
I'm very well, thank you. You guys all right?
Yep,
all good,
we're
yeah.
good.
Have you had a busy week this week?
Yeah, I'm
I
doing
have
my
seen
workshop this week.
a few posts this week. Since we've organised you to come on, I keep seeing your posts now.
Yeah, I've been a bit laxed on social media recently, so I need to pull my finger out a bit.
Yeah, I think it gets like that though.
I think it's a
It
Yeah,
time of
just
year, isn't it?
yeah, it just everyone's
It's
everyone's just can't be arsed with it.
I think we were talking about that the last day, that you're almost scared to post in your socials sometimes because it seems to drum up loads of work.
Yeah, innit? Yeah,
Ken, and
yeah.
you're
I
thinking,
think I go through phases, definitely, like phases where I'm like really on it and I'm like really into posting on social media. But I have to say, the last year I've just been a bit like, not really.
yeah,
It's the hard work.
same. I think I've no posted on my Facebook page for about 6 months just
yeah.
because I literally think, oh, I cannot be bothered. And
Soon as
then,
you
of course,
post, you're gonna get someone commenting, going, "Hey mate, I'm looking for a quote," and you're going,
and
"No,
also
not this
the
week."
longer it takes you to post, the more that you hate to add into your post because
Yeah,
you're then looking and thinking, oh shit, what if I miss out somebody's job?
yeah.
Ken, so by the way, I meant
Yeah,
to say in that wee
absolutely.
intro that Georgie's actually got about 4,000 followers across her socials. By the way, so I think you're mostly on Instagram, aren't you, Georgie?
Yeah, for social stuff, definitely. I mean,
Aye,
Facebook is probably what gets me work.
Yeah.
Instagram doesn't.
yep, aye, aye.
I
I'm the
get the
same.
odd one here and there off
Yeah,
Instagram, but yeah, again, it's mainly Facebook.
absolutely.
Right, are we ready
Uh,
to follow through?
Aye, so follow through. Weird terminology on it anyway.
Oh,
So we like getting our guests warmed up with like 20 quick fire questions. So it's just no thinking desire needed
yeah.
anyway. You just answer what it is. So are you
First thing
ready?
that comes to your mind.
Comes
Yeah,
to your
that's
mind.
fine. Yeah, no pressure.
Okay. Painter or decorator?
Decorator,
Powder or ready mix?
powder,
Ladder or hop up?
hop up.
Favorite brush?
Oh, Arrowworthy, classic.
How many inches?
2.5.
Laser, spirit level, or plumb line?
Laser.
Most important thing in your lunchbox?
Oh, packet crisps.
Interior or exterior?
Interior,
Oil based or water based?
water based.
Left handed or right handed?
Right-handed.
One tool you would cry if you lost?
My Merca.
Sand by hand or get the sander out?
Always get the sander out.
And you've kind of answered this in Marca or Fez tool?
Merca.
What's worse, runs or roller lines?
Roller lines.
Mask up or cut in freehand?
Oh, mask up.
Dust sheets or fancy protection?
Fancy protection.
Synthetic or pure?
Synthetic.
Ladders or scaffolding?
Scaffolding.
Paint with silk or strip wood chip?
Paint with silk.
And final question for you, and it's widely regarded as the hardest question: Baz or Sean?
Sean, because of the technical issues at the start of
Yes,
this. Sorry,
that's
Baz.
2-1.
Right, that's the end of this episode. It's been lovely, lovely meeting you.
Sorry.
And before
It's not
It's
your
all right.
fault.
Even
It's probably
I
my
voted
fault.
for Sean, so
I've
don't worry
noticed a
about
wee
it.
pattern emerging with the brushes. So do you notice that every single decorator we've had
I
on
was
so
going to
far
say that to you then, but then you started
always
going on
goes
about
2.5 inch.
yeah
2.5 inch is always the
the
most
go-to
common
in it.
size. And I wonder
I
if
mean,
companies
go on, carry on.
no, I just wondered if companies were to then say, right, we're not going to produce only 2-inch brushes or 3-inch brushes, there'd be a massive outcry, wouldn't there? They would be like, we'd be picketing on the streets, wouldn't we? Because there's no fucking 2-inch paintbrushes.
Yeah,
But who's using them?
it's funny you should say that because that is exactly what I was going to come out with. Yeah,
To be
definitely.
honest, can't remember the last time I picked up a paintbrush. I've been doing that much spraying. I could not tell you when I last picked up a paintbrush. It's terrible. I had this conversation with one of the team the other day. And she went, "You ought to have picked up a paintbrush for a while." And I went, "No, it's just terrible."
That's what we all inspire to, I think, to get to, because it's so much.
Yeah.
I think we will come on to this spray, and I'm sure we've got something on it, but it's just the way the world's moving in it. It's like it's such a better finish. Obviously, that's the first thing you between a brush and a roller finish, even with a mohair roller. If you look at like a Graco or a Abode, I don't know what you've got yourself, and you look at a mohair roller finish, it's night and day, isn't it?
Yeah. I think, I mean, I could talk for hours about this, but yeah, I do. There is a pro and con to both, but spraying isn't easy.
Oh, oh
It's just
no,
not easy. It's brutal. It's a whole new kettle of fish. But yeah, I did say to one of the girls the other day, I don't remember that she handed me the brush and I just went, here we go, you go back.
I don't
So
touch
you go.
that. Well, I'll maybe hate to put into the 20 questions, Baz, instead of saying what's your favourite paintbrush, what's your favourite tip size, would be a maybe more apt question for somebody like you, Georgie. So
Yeah.
Yeah, not everyone sprays though, did they? So it's one of them.
No, absolutely not. No.
soon,
I know
soon
it's a
we'll be
good
getting
question because it's a double innuendo, but
double
Yeah.
entendre.
yeah, but yeah, right. So, what first inspired you to pursue a career in decorating and interiors?
So although I don't really like this answer, I'm very honest. I was dating a decorator, so it kind of I was always creative, so grew up in a very creative environment, did all the arty-farty crap at
Yeah,
school
yeah.
basically. I used to do all my parents' decorating, help my dad. We had quite a lot of land, so I used to do like fence painting and sheds and barns and stuff like that. So I was always into that, and then yeah, met a decorator. I was with him for sort of like 4 years, I think it was. And it was during COVID. I got made redundant from my employed job, which had nothing to do with decorating. Um, and I'd already done a little bit with him, like when he was really busy and at weekends. And I thought, I'm actually quite good at this, and I really enjoy it. So yeah, that's how it all started, really.
Very good. When did you decide to start your own business, and what motivated you to do that move? What
Um,
motivated that move?
yeah,
I
so
think
as
I'm
I sort of
dyslexic
touched
tonight.
on, yeah, that's all right. I'm dyslexic all the time. But yeah, so I think, like I said, so I was working. So I actually did it. My background is I did a degree in like backstage theatre and production management.
All
So
right,
all the
so that is a
backstage
career
elements of
change, that
theatre.
innit? Bloody hell.
Yeah, well, I used to like paint all the sets and did stage
So,
construction and things like that.
because I was going to ask you that there. So presumably being a decorator and obviously like set designing or like so wallpaper or painting the back of a set,
Yeah, it's
I
basically the same.
it's exactly aye. It's kind
Yeah,
of
it's
hand in
just
hand,
on
isn't it?
a. I sort of used to say to people that sort of painting a set is very similar to painting somebody's house. The
Yeah,
only difference is that when you're in a theatre auditorium, you're miles away, so it doesn't really matter how shit it looks. But obviously, when you're in somebody's bedroom, it needs to look
Yeah.
really good.
aye, aye, Matt.
Um, but yeah, it worked hand in hand. So obviously, as soon as COVID hit, Boris, I don't know if you remember, I remember it as clear as day. Boris's first announcement was theatres and live events. So I went into work. I think that was on like the Sunday night, and I went into work on the Monday, and my boss was like, she just sent me home. She was like, "We've just lost all of our work overnight." And I remember I rang my fellow at the time, and I was like, "Been sent home," and he was like, "What? What do you mean?" And I was like, "Well, we've lost all our work because of COVID." And he went, "Oh, don't worry, it'll all blow over. It'll be no problem." Anyway, it didn't. Um, and that was it. Like I was just at home. So I just said to him, like, right, well, I was obviously thinking this is this is great. I'm not going to do anything for a little while and just enjoy a bit of time off. I was being paid.
So was the theatre industry no was it no furloughed or was it no given any like
It was
financial help?
eventually.
It
Yeah,
was
it was
right.
eventually, but obviously the furlough scheme didn't kick in. I mean, my boss paid me because she was like, I can't just not pay you. So
I
she
should feel
paid
bad.
me, and then yeah, she felt bad, so they paid me. I don't know how because it was a really small business. Now that I'm self-employed, I look back and I think, God, I probably should
Yeah.
bank a bit
Yeah.
better than I did.
Aye.
um,
That's the difference,
Presumably,
though, in
like
it. When
so.
you. Sorry, Sean. Go
So
on.
sorry. So like so construction. Obviously, I was in construct. Well, I was in decorating when COVID happened, and I was also sent home furloughed. But construction almost for me almost like instantly bounced back. But I'm just thinking to myself there that the theatre industry or like so cinemas and stuff like that, for example, it wouldn't be an instant bounce back. Like so for example, football games, cinemas, theatre, it'd be phased back. So there'd be obviously the 2 meter
yeah,
spacing. Ken, so it's no like the decorating industry just went back or the construction industry just
yeah,
went back to normal, whereas everything else kind of it slowly phased
Yeah,
itself
there's a
back in.
bigger audience there, though, isn't there? Obviously, in theatre, you've got
mm.
however many
I,
people all sat next to each other, spreading
I
I
germs.
think
exactly
I think the problem was I'd already made a decision. Like it, although COVID was terrible, and obviously we all look back at it and we have
yeah
mixed emotions from it. I was already trying to make a move out of the. I didn't want a career in theatre. I was I'd finished uni. I went off and worked in retail for a few years, and then went back into theatre, and I knew it was dying. And it's a horrible thing to say, but unfortunately, traditional
I
things like that are dying. It's a
yeah
dying art, and it's very sad because I'm a massive theatre buff. I still go to the theatre multiple times a year with my family. Like I love it, but it was dying, and and also I wanted to earn more money. I kind of
Yeah.
got to a
I
point where like there's not much money in theatre unless you went into TV and film, and actually it's like kids that want to be actresses and actors. Unfortunately, you have to
I
be
it's
really
such
really
a
good.
saturated market. It'll be like the
Yeah,
1% will be successful. The rest are
yeah.
just I
And I was just done. I was done with it, to be honest. I'd done it. I'd done 2 years at A level and then 3 years at a degree. And although I loved it, I was done. I was ready for a change.
yeah
So it kind of just fell on it, fell sort of in the right place. And he said to me, "Why don't you?" Well, I stayed at home for a little bit and just enjoyed a bit of time at home. And then he was like, "Why don't you come and do a bit of work with me?" So I went and did a bit of work with him. He was working on projects at this point. Decorators hadn't been. No one had been. It was only really my industry that was affected. And I'd already signed on to a wallpapering course, so I was already making moves to do this. So it just
right
pushed me, basically. It made me
I
do it a lot sooner. But unfortunately, I kind of got quite good and I really enjoyed it. And I suddenly had a bit of a thought one day. I think I was having a glass of wine with my mum, and she was why don't you? So the original plan was I was going to set up Cozy Room Wallpapering. So that's why my email is Cozy Room
right
Wallpapering. And some people on Instagram and socials will remember me as Cozy Room Wallpapering. And my plan was to do all the wallpapering to offer through his business. because he didn't wallpaper, he just did interior and exterior decorating, and he's now a sprayer as well.
Yep.
And then I actually thought, God, I'm quite good at the decorating side. So I thought I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket. Obviously, not against men at all. Some of my closest friends and whatever are all blokes.
Yep.
But I thought this isn't a smart move, Georgie. Don't build his business when you can be building your own. So I started putting some adverts out on Facebook, and I got really busy really quick. And I think he was a little bit shocked, and I think he was thinking I'd be there a lot longer than I was. And I think I did like a couple of months for him, and then I was up and running on my own.
See,
So it was sort of like living together, two decorators. It was a lot.
see, I can like I worked with a girl for 7 years, like, and me and Bazzy spoke about this quite a few times in the podcast. But I actually find that I loved working with a girl because I found that I think it's because girls can multitask, right? Or sorry, like
Yeah, of
females can
course. Yeah,
multitask.
yeah,
Men can't. So men are very like the horse blinkers are on and you're focusing on one task, right? Whereas I
yeah,
think because girls are quite good, it just seems to be in the female species, they're quite good at doing a few things at the same time. That
yeah,
I think that's why that females generally seem to be better at decorating. I've actually said before that females make better decorators, and I always come back to. I'm going to mention it again. I'm probably going to get myself a buzzer here, but I went to the Apprentice of the Year competition, right? Where it was all the apprentices in the whole of Scotland went to this competition. Now, I'll probably mention I was Apprentice of the Year every fucking podcast, right? But the year I went, two girls won it because girls were starting to become more prominent in the decorating industry. Maybe not so much in
yeah,
other trade sectors just yet, but especially as decorators. And it always sticks with me, like how good they were compared to the guys that were there. Because again, like I say, men are
yeah.
very blinkered, and girls are pasting a bit of wallpaper and cleaning something up and
Absolutely.
doing something else, Ken, like an octopus. Ken, there's so many different things happening at the same time,
Yeah, I
Ken. So,
think I think pairing a man and a woman actually together in that. I mean, me and my ex-partner, not going to mention his name because he might not want to be mentioned, but
no,
not for any reason. We're still on talking terms and stuff, but a lot of people will know who he is. He was quite a big part of the social media crowd as well. But we worked really okay together. Like we just didn't
aye,
have any issues. I think probably on a long term, it probably wouldn't have worked, especially living together and having a life together and then working together. It probably would have been too much.
yep.
And consequently, I'm glad that I did start up Cosy Room, because if I hadn't, when I left him, I'd have been in a right mess, more of a mess than I was in. So it was beneficial, but we had no issue when we worked together. That dynamic was good, and I have relationships now with blokes who I work with, friendships and things, and I never ever have an issue.
No, and so early doors during when you're even when you're working with him. So obviously you realise that you're good at it. How did that shape you starting up Cosy Room Interiors? So basically you're doing your wallpapering course and you're decorating alongside him, and by the sounds that he's quite a good decorator as well. So obviously, did you just you noticed he had a knack for it, but how did that evolve into like the business side of it? Or he always been kind of business minded in that kind of sense that you've always been looking for the
So
opportunity?
yeah, so I think a few things really. Like I'd had a few people, like friends and clients and stuff, say to me that I was actually better than he was, which is
Yep.
irrelevant, but that kind of gave me a bit of a boost. And I'd kind of already, look, we all work with people, and whether you say it or not, we all have a day's work with somebody, or we have experiences, and we go, oh, they're a bit shit, or whatever,
Yeah,
Aye,
but
or oh, I'm a bit better.
100%.
It gives you a bit of an ego boost,
yeah,
and it makes
it
you think,
does.
oh, I'm
Yeah,
actually a little bit better than I realized. But then they might be better at something else that you're shit at. So
yeah.
it is
Exactly.
swings and
Aye.
roundabouts. But in regards to the business, I mean, have I always been business minded? No, not really. But then when I look back, so in between finishing my degree and becoming a decorator, I worked in retail for like 2 or 3 years, and I climbed into manager very, very quickly. And I think when I look back and I have conversations with like my parents and siblings and people that have known me for a long time, they know me as a bit of a control freak and a bit of a manager, and I like to teach people things. And it's always been quite a positive feedback sort of thing, and
Right.
I've enjoyed that element. And I think I always wanted to be self-employed because I grew up with my mum, who was very strong, independent woman, and always self-employed. And I thought one day I want to be self-employed, but I just didn't know what to be self-employed in. So when this sort of all happened with decorating, that was it really. And then that's kind of where Cosy Room Cozy Room wallpapering started, and then very quickly realised that I was offering a lot more than papering, so it became Cosy Room Interiors.
Because kind of like you said there, it can be quite it's quite an ego boost, let's call it, when you're working with somebody that's maybe not as good as you are, right? No matter tick sex, tick whatever out it is, like the experience or whatever out it, right? It's quite an ego boost thinking, oh, I'm better than them at wallpapering, for example.
Yeah.
Like you're firing along, you've put 10 lengths up and they're still covered and wrapped up in a roll
Yeah.
of wallpaper. But always kind of try and be humble with it, because there's, no matter how good you ever get, there's always going to be somebody better than you out there, isn't there?
Oh,
You
always,
like
absolutely.
and you put your work on, like we all do, all three is put our work in social media, and your to you it's great work, but then you look at somebody. I'm going to pick somebody like, I don't know if you've seen him, but Golden Hands Decorating. You ever seen him on TikTok or anything like that,
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah,
Instagram? I look at his work and think there is not a fucking hair out of place on his work. His work is
yeah, yeah,
immaculate, Ken. So
yeah,
Yeah, I
I
think.
look at it as a better thing. But no matter
Yeah.
how good my work will ever be, it'll never be on a par with him. But I aspire
yeah.
to be better, but I don't think I'll ever catch up, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. So,
I think
so as
there's a
much as
different.
like it can be quite humbling, Ken, that you're looking at somebody else's work thinking, "Oh, look at my finished job; it's much better than them." But then you look at somebody like, obviously
Oh yeah,
there's thousands of people, Ken. So, um,
There's a difference between being confident in the job that you do and then just thinking you're the best, because
100%. Yeah,
I
because you see it too many times where people are fucking bigging themselves up, and then you look at the work and you're thinking, what the fuck is that? Do you know what I
exactly.
mean? So
You
there
better.
is, like, be confident in what you do, but don't start going, I'm
yeah,
better than everyone, I'm better than him, I'm
Exactly.
better than
Aye,
them, I'm better. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. It creates a bad name for yourself, and
Yeah, it
also
does.
I
exactly.
think there are people who are naturally like that in their personality, and I
Yeah.
generally tend to avoid avoid
But
people
it's
like
like
that. But they
Sean.
find out the
Yeah.
hard way. Yeah,
But it's like Sean was
Aye.
saying about Golden Hands then. I love watching people that I think are better than me, because it motivates me to do better. Do you know what I mean?
And
It's
and you
like,
can learn. You can learn
exactly. Yeah,
sometimes. Aye,
yeah.
aye.
I think
Um,
similarly though as well, the social media thing portrays things very differently, because I have been in situations where I've seen people's work on social media, and it
And then
isn't
so,
always,
yeah, yeah.
people don't show you, like, I'm very transparent with
no.
mine. I mean, like I've made some mistakes, and I
Yep.
remember in my first year of business I just owned them, because I thought, actually there's no point, like, we are all human. I still make mistakes now, like, and
Yep.
like my team, that they're still making mistakes, and I would never ever like make them feel bad for that, because at the end of the day they're still learning. Like, some of the girls on my team have been decorators longer than I have, so they teach me things that I don't know, and I teach them things that they don't know. So it's I think you can't always believe what you see, because I've seen it
Aye.
firsthand. I've seen people's work on social media and it's bloody fantastic, but I'm telling you right now, it
And
doesn't
you
always
look at
look
it
like
in
that.
person. Uh,
Yeah,
no, somebody once, an older decorator once told me, it's only a mistake when you refuse to fix it. So,
Yeah.
so you've maybe made the mistake, but as soon as you turn around and say, "Well, that's
No.
as good as it's going to be,"
Yeah.
it's then the mistake. If you're still willing to go on and say, "Oh, that could do with another coat," or you look at it and think, "Oh, it looks shit," and you're wanting to motivate it, you're motivated to fix it, then you can always make it better. But I don't think I ever leave a job and think, oh, it's perfect. I always look at something and think, I wish I'd done that differently.
Yeah.
No matter how good the
yeah,
job is, by the way.
Even like,
But that,
even sometimes you finish, you go, do you know what? I'm really, really made up with that. And then you get home and you think, do you know what? I maybe should have.
I
Like,
yeah. So that kind of leads me on to my next question for you, Georgie. What's some of the biggest challenges you faced when starting up Cosy Room Interiors? So that could be work or
Um,
business side.
so I think business side, it was just learning how to run a business. And I think no, unless you've done, had business coaching or business degrees or whatever, I'd done nothing. So like I had a lot of friends who had done like business at like GCSE, A level. I literally had done nothing. So I think that was something, was working out how to actually manage the business. I think the other thing was sort of it's never stunted me, but when I look back now, I laugh at it. But I was very conscious and very aware of the fact that I had no qualification to be a decorator, and I do not have any qualification to be a decorator. Am I a good decorator? I'd like to think that I am a good decorator, and I do my best, and I have really good feedback from my clients, and I have a really good reputation about where I am. But at the same time, for a good year, maybe longer, it was always in my head that I didn't have any right to be doing any of this, which is silly. And now I'm like 5 years in, I think that is absolutely ridiculous. Some of the best decorators I know have never had any training. And I
Yep,
think
100%.
the other thing that I found, yeah, I think the other thing that I found really difficult, and I still do, is the pricing. I hate it. And I think I spent years just never earning any money, because I just wanted it to be right, and I didn't care whether I was earning what I was earning, because trying to price it and knowing how long things take was very, very difficult. And now, when I estimate for jobs, it is much easier. And it's still not easy, but it is easier than it used to be.
Yeah.
See, I think I watched Mike talking about people with like you're saying about the qualifications and unqualified people, but I think there was some kind of mental percentage, like 50% of the decorators or people decorating in the UK, business owners up and down the country, have no NVQs or no national qualifications for doing it. The majority,
No.
like so
Well,
it,
it's like, I think I saw a post on Facebook the other day, and it was asking that question about non-qualified and qualified,
yeah,
and I just said, like, there's a few things to unpack, because this qualified person could be going out going, right, I know everything I've been taught over the past however many years, that is it, and that is correct, and that, whereas this unqualified has been learning something literally new every single day, every week, every month, and
Mm,
they might have more knowledge than the qualified person, so it really
yeah.
doesn't make a difference.
and and
um
f-
No.
and someone else too. Like, so I think depending on what kind of, so that's fine. Like I've got the qualifications right, but I think even people like me, that's depending on what type of training. So obviously, as I'd said, I'd trained with my dad, right, and I got a kind of one-on-one experience and learnt with a solo tradesman, kind of like yourself did. Baz, you were in a wee company, but I think if you work for a massive paint and decorating firm and you're not getting the same one on one. You're just expected to start knowing it. I don't think they people. I mean, there obviously will be exceptions. Tend to turn into brilliant tradesmen
yeah,
because they're like if you're just spraying factories, for example, your whole career,
yeah,
and
you
you've
don't
never
know
touched a
anything,
bit of
yeah, you
wallpaper,
don't
you've
know
never
fuck all, do you?
you,
Yeah.
you've never touched anything, but you've got all the qualifications because you've did it at college. So what's to say one of they people are better than yourself that's got no qualifications because a bit of
Yeah.
paper it
Well,
doesn't make sense. Ken.
look how many people only paint these days and don't wallpaper.
Exactly,
It was a
and and
lot,
and
yeah.
and they'll be fully qualified decorators, but
Fully,
can
yeah,
hardly.
yeah. So my next question for you is: so what barriers do you feel like you faced working in a predominantly male trade,
Environment?
like trade, yeah, like environment,
Yeah.
and what did you do to overcome it?
I think um I've been really lucky. And I haven't had any massive issues. Yes, I'm a female in a male dominated area of work, but it's never yet caused me anything drastic. I think the biggest thing for me was I don't like to stand out. So
Yeah.
when I say this, everyone laughs because like I've chosen a very like an area where you're going to stand out because you're a woman walking
Yeah.
in onto a site. I think it's always been a great for me. It's always been a very positive experience, and I have had
Yeah.
a
That's good.
few not so positive experiences. But I am the kind of person that I'm really ballsy. So if somebody says something that oversteps, I will just say we've had some fun, but absolutely that's too far.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think what I worry about is that there are females in the trade who don't have that level of confidence.
Yeah.
They might grow into have that. I haven't always been
Yep.
like that, but it's made me very, very quite a confident female. So like I could walk into a pub absolutely full of men because it just doesn't bother me. And if I'm in my work gear, I know I'm more likely to get certain comments than if I walked in like my jeans and a top on a
Yeah.
night out because
Yeah.
it's a very different. But yeah, I think it's nearly always brought on more positive conversations where people go, oh, that's different, or but definitely in the last few years it's not like it was sort of 5 years ago when I started. So yeah, I think don't get me wrong, I've definitely had comments, inappropriate comments, and I've definitely had a lot of banter. But I think there's in a trade you're always going to have that,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yep.
not anti-men. I'm not pro women. I am pro women, but I'm not like really like pro women. I am
Aye.
also very much like strong, independent woman and all that. But if I've got friends that choose to stay at home, don't work, raise families, and I have nothing against that. And then I also have friends that don't want any children and have amazing careers. And then there's me who love what I do, but actually I really want children and I want to have a family life. And I think what I'm very pro is women doing exactly what they want to do, and basically fuck what everybody else thinks, because you're a woman, you can do what you want.
100%.
But
Well said.
I do get those comments. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do still get those comments. I've had I've had quite a few nicknames which are actually really funny, which are great. But some people wouldn't accept that like I would, and
Yeah.
that's and I think that's, but it's very difficult for men as well
I
in our
think.
industry having women on site, I think.
See, I think it depends on your personality. Like you was on about then how you're quite ballsy and maybe you've grew into that. But I think
Yeah,
no matter what, sometimes it like men or women, um, they just don't have that in them to be even slightly
absolutely.
But
Yeah,
confrontational.
see,
yeah,
really, like, so obviously me and Baz were really eager to get like somebody like yourself on, because I feel like the fault kind of lies with men a wee bit too in this,
Yeah,
because women shouldn't hate to come into a trade and deal with shitty fucking comments from men, by the way. Like, in coming for somebody that's worked with a woman, and I know exactly what you mean by crossing a line. There's a definitive line on in the ground or whatever, and you shouldn't be no should you not be just putting your toe over it. You should be nowhere fucking near that line, because men don't do that to other men, by the way. So, and women don't date the other women in the same breath. So I feel like coming on, you shouldn't need to be ballsy, because like you said, no everybody's like you. So that you might get somebody that's more timid or no as ballsy and scared to say something, and it lets men away with it. So the change needs to come
yeah.
for men,
I think
basically.
that's what I think that's what I'm saying. Like it's not just because I'm ballsy doesn't mean that I excuse it.
yeah,
But
Yep.
exactly. Yeah,
I think look, I've grown up in a really rural part of England, so like my nearest big supermarket is like 45 minutes away. So
Yep.
I literally live in the arse end of nowhere, and I love it. It's great, but it also means that the mentality is of men and women.
It's
It's that
backwards.
it's very backwards, but
Yep.
where I live in a village now, and there's four female decorators, and they've all worked with me, or they work for Cosy Room Interiors, as well as run
Right.
their own successful businesses. So it's very normal. But I think a lot of the conversations and banter that happens on site, when I subbed for a little while and I was on big sites, with loads of different trade, a lot of it was very like non-existent, and then as they got to know me, it would be pushed and pushed and pushed.
Yep.
And I think that's just because they've got probably got really boring lives, and they just want to push it a little bit. And I think it's the banter, and there was a few times where it went too far, and I didn't even need to say anything because one of the blokes went, "That's too far, you need to
Good.
stop." And I was like, you didn't need to do that because I would have done it. But it was nice that somebody had done that. But then and these are like age ranging from like, this isn't young blokes, so like this isn't like, you'd assume it'd be like 16, like apprentice ages
Aye.
until like mid-20s, but it's not actually. Most of them, it comes from like middle-aged men.
Right.
And then on the flip side, I have conversations with men. So for example, there was two men on site who were stonemasons, and stonemasons are quite hard to come by now. It's a very
Yep.
skilled job.
Yeah.
And they were past retirement age. They were like 66, they were coming up to retirement age, but they could have retired if they wanted to, but they worked because they wanted to, and they knew nothing else. And I remember one day I was sat having my lunch on like the patio area of this massive house that we were working on. And when I say massive, like it had like a helipad, like it was ridiculous. And I was subbing, and he was lovely, and this old fella, and he gave me offered me a biscuit, and he went, now then, and I went, oh, here we go. And he went, so have you got a partner? And I went, yes, or I might not have done at the time. And I can't remember. And he said, oh, okay. And is he, she, they? And I went, he, I could tell that he was maybe assuming that because I'm a female in a male orientated environment that I must be gay. And
Right.
I get that a lot. And then he went on to say, and it was a lovely conversation. He wasn't being rude or anything. It was a fantastic conversation. I sat for my whole lunch at half hour and spoke to him. But he was like, why do you want to be here on a cold, wet, like there's no flushable toilets? Like, why do you want to be here when you could be at home with like a nice job or with your kids or whatever? And I was like, well, maybe one day I will be, but at the moment, this is what I'm doing. And he was like, do you love it? And I was like, I do. And at the end of the conversation, he shook my hand and he was like, I've had a really refreshing conversation with you. And it isn't because he's narrow-minded. It's generational, and also
Aye.
how
Yep.
he's been brought up. So we had a lovely conversation. It wasn't a negative experience for either of us. But I think he lays at one end of the spectrum, and then there's other ones who like
Aye.
shoot laser
Complete
levels at
opposite.
my bum while I'm up a ladder, which has happened multiple times, which is
Right.
actually really dangerous. But it happens, So you've got like that, and then you've got, at the other end. So yeah, that's kind of, we
Because you
do see
might
it
find
all.
that with the 16, 17 to the 20-year-old range, that they'll actually be more used to a woman being on site
Yeah,
or being around
they're not even phased by it. Yeah.
because they've come out of college. Because I wrote down some numbers before you came on the night, just on a bit of paper there, but supposedly 18% of the new apprentices taken on in 2025 are women. So that's okay, it's 20%, but that's not just
Yeah.
decorating. That's every trade.
Like
So,
trades
so
in
I would
general.
imagine, I'd imagine if you looked at I'm not. I didn't want to say that women aren't going into bricklaying as much, but I'm guessing that more women are going into painting, decorating than than going into bricklaying. For example, there
Yeah.
will be women bricklayers out there, but I'm just kind of focusing on painting, decorating. But
Yeah.
between 14 and 15, but you'll obviously be more clued up in the numbers than me, George. But 14 and 15% of the decorating trade right now are female. But I think they're no false numbers, but they're almost going to be false, because I think that a lot of the decorators that are included in the numbers will be over the age of 50. And I think what will happen is
Yeah.
time moves on and they decorators retire, that their numbers will just naturally come up, because, like you say, there's four female decorators in your village. I know a few from my local area. Baz, I'm sure you know a few in
Yeah,
St
there is.
Hel.
Yeah.
We've got the WhatsApp group. What will have about
It's
10?
definitely. Do you know what? It females in decorating generally, I can't speak for other trades, but it definitely is growing, and
Yep.
it's actually nice to see. Do you know what I mean? It's actually
Yeah,
nice to see
absolutely.
more females interested in decorating.
I couldn't agree more.
But yeah, you've kind of touched on this next question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So how did you establish your specialist spray finishing services for kitchens, UPVC and furniture?
So I always wanted to get into spraying, always. So literally from the first like month of me starting decorating with my ex-partner, and that's because he'd started to spray, and he'd started to spray with the Abode Academy and Jamie and James,
Right.
and they were always the kind of people that I wanted to train with, because obviously he'd done it, and then I'd met Jamie at a couple of the trade shows. But I just, with the fact that, I mean, I haven't mentioned this, but I moved the business when I started the business. Obviously, I was with my ex-partner, and then I had to move it when I left him. So I moved it 250 miles from Bradford-on-Avon, in Somerset, back to, well, Wiltshire, up to the northwest, which is where I grew up, and where I
Yep.
am now.
Yeah.
So over 5 years, the business has had a lot of movement. And in the first 5 years, as we all know, it's like the crunch time for a business.
Yep.
So that obviously wasn't part of the plan, but it was what had to happen, and I just had to do it. So I definitely started spraying later than I wanted to, but that's because I had to move, I had to re-establish my business,
Yeah.
which I basically had to start again. And yes, it was easier because I had all my reviews and portfolio. So I knew I could only do it when I had money, because it's expensive, and when I had the time and the mindset to be able to do it. And I never had any of those things until last summer, which is when I booked my first training course with the Abode Academy. And the first one I did was the Airless and HVLP course, which was a 2-day course at their Somerset training academy. And then that was it. Then I was hooked. I was like, this is it. This is going to be a game changer. I started to see people doing kitchens, and I'd had a chat with Jamie about the kitchen stuff, and I thought, I'm sick of being in people's houses. I've got a really low immune system. I was catching up everybody's bugs and diseases, and
Yeah.
I was just like, I want to be in a little workshop on my own with my dog, with my music on, and just earning a lot more money. And that's what I strive for. And it was the right time. I'd when I'd moved back, I'd like bought my house, and things had started to settle down a little bit. I'd got over the move and leaving my ex and all that kind of thing. So I just went for it, and I spoke to Jamie, and I think he was really happy with the support that I was giving him and his business, and talking to other people, because I generally had such a good experience there that I was just telling everybody about it. And then he made me an ambassador. So like it's a company that I am incredibly proud to be a
Yep.
part of, and I would never put my name on anything that was shit because it's not worth
Am,
it. Um,
am I,
but but
am
they
I
are
Me,
great.
Sean's
misremembering?
always said that.
Am I
Mm.
misremembering that? Did you speak with, or did you speak about or on Abode at the Bolton show?
Yeah, so I did
Aye.
so I'm part of the trade. I'm part of Trade Decorator as well. I'm on their
Yep.
admin team as their like female, one of their female admin. And Paula asked me to do a small presentation on how I'd got into spraying and things. And obviously I was absolutely, I was dreading it, but I thought I'll do it. And I was trying to do more things that had sort of pushed me out of my comfort zone. And Jamie was happy for me to do it, so I did it. And I've had loads of really good feedback, and lots of people come in and speaking to me
Yep.
since I started spraying. And it is a massive leap for my business, and it's been a year. It's been and I'm
Yeah.
nowhere near finished it. It's completely changed everything, and I've had to sacrifice a lot. And I think people are looking at me thinking, "Oh, she's doing really well. She's doing this," and actually, the realities of it, although I don't regret it, it's a lot to do.
Yeah, it's a lot of hard work and a lot of hours you're putting into things, and
A lot of money, a lot of sacrifice, but
yeah,
I love it. Spraying is fantastic, but it's a whole new thing. The
yeah,
decorating side helps, but it's a standalone thing.
yeah.
So on the spraying, what types of projects do you think they're most rewarding? So is it like your kitchens? Is that what you're really honing in
Yeah.
on? Yep.
At the moment, I'm really pushing the kitchen side, mainly because well, because the money, it's an awful thing to say, but we're a business at the end of the day, and the money is so much better in spraying,
Yeah.
especially spraying kitchens. I mean, I can earn my whole monthly decorating work wage,
And,
which is like four weeks of hard fucking graft in like
yeah,
a 10-day kitchen respray. So if you do
Yeah.
two of them a month, you've doubled your turnover.
Yeah.
Like, why
yeah,
wouldn't you do it?
Yeah, because you
But why
can.
wouldn't you do it?
Yeah,
and
you can charge more for spraying, can't you?
yeah, and smart
100%
work
more.
because
Your insurance is more.
Yeah.
we've got quite a young kind of audience. With me and Baz, had two or three apprentices that he reached out to us and really enjoying watching this every week. So it's quite
That's
interesting to
good.
hear. It's a great it's a good thing to hear. It's a clever way of thinking that really in it, that if it's taking you 10 days to spray the kitchen and it's doubling your turnover for a month, Ken,
Yeah.
and you add it up over a year and 5 years, 10 years, and you're really like the proof is in the pudding to show like how you can grow your business by such smart, like it's like the Richard Koch. I don't know if you've ever heard the 80-20 principle. You ever heard it? So
Yeah, yeah.
concentrate, you concentrate 80% of your. You look at what's making you the money, and you concentrate your time onto it rather than wasting your time looking into stuff. Like there's no point in going stripping wallpaper for 200 quid a day when you could
When you
be
can.
focusing on
Yeah.
kitchens.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's
Yeah,
smart. Like,
absolutely.
so on that, do you still do smaller residential jobs, or are you just looking for high end
I
stuff
think.
now?
Well, I think we're all looking for the high end stuff, but.
Aye, but
So
is
I understand what you're saying. I mean, we're really lucky in the fact that I think because of I think people that know me personally know that I am ridiculously like OCD. I'm a perfectionist, like, which I think all of us are, like, who do this job because we have to be. But I live in an area which is very wealthy, and a lot of large houses, and I've come to the when I say I've come to the realization, I've never ever done like rentals. I've never done, those jobs where like people say, can you just paint the ceiling and the woodwork,
Yeah.
or can
Yeah.
you just do
yep,
the walls? Like,
my
I've never
landlord's
done any of
title.
that. Yeah, and actually it was a choice that I made, and that's because I never wanted to be in a situation where, let's say you go to your mate's house for tea or whatever, and you're sat there, or you go around, let's say, like, you go to your neighbour's house for Christmas drinks or whatever, and you're sat in their house and you're looking around and you go, oh, that's a really nice colour on your walls there, it looks really nice.
Aye,
And they go, oh yeah, we've just had Cosy Room Interiors in. And then they look at the ceiling, and I'm looking up now because my parents have got a barn conversion that's been renovated in the first, and this is one of the only rooms I haven't done, and there's nail pops in the ceiling. So that neighbour's going to look up and be like, well, they're shit because they've left nail pops in the ceiling. But
Yeah.
what
yep,
that person hasn't said is, oh, Cosy Room Interiors only did the walls. So I
Yeah.
thought I
exactly.
never
Aye,
ever want
Yeah.
to be in a situation where, because people don't communicate. So I thought, no, we do not touch jobs. And I never have, where it's, can you
unless
just do this? We don't. We
unless
just
you're
don't do
doing
it.
the full. Yep, yep.
We
Aye, that
do
makes
the
sense.
full, like, the full Monty is basically how I say to people, like, we either do it or we don't do anything. And some people say, is that not being a bit picky? And actually, if it gets to a point where I have an issue with work coming in, then I'll change that. But I've never in 5 years, so I'm not
Well,
I'm not
that's
going
it,
to
in it.
start
Yeah.
now. So no,
Absolutely
I,
agree with
I
that.
think we're very lucky in the fact that, so so for example, I've done 5 full house projects in the last 5 years, mainly on my own, and then in between that I've done smaller projects. So, like, can you do our kitchen and our living room, or can you do our bathroom, or can you paper
Yep,
art? So, like, it's mainly people's homes, and we do manage full houses as well, so we can go in and we can coordinate other trades as well, and project manage those, because of my background with my project management for theatre. It's
right.
basically the same as running that. So yeah, it's just mainly people's houses. I don't do anything else, but obviously in the last well, when I say the last year, I started spraying last summer, but I didn't get my workshop, my spray unit workshop, until February this year. So we're doing things a little bit differently this year. So the spraying isn't yet in a place for me to be able to completely like scrap the decorating. And actually, I don't want to do that because it is my passion and I love decorating. But in the last year, I started to really resent it, and I kind of got to a point where if I don't do something else, it's going to show in my work. So that's when I started really pursuing the spray side of things. So I have a couple of girls who subcontract for me.
Right.
So I manage the decorating basically, and then but they do the work. And if I don't have any spray work that week, I'll jump on it with them. There's always enough money
Right.
on the job, but they have no responsibility. They literally just, I meet them on the job and do all that.
Tell them, run them through, tell them what they're doing, and
Yeah,
see.
I manage the whole thing.
He noticed like an up just on before we move on to any other questions. See how you've had a year of spraying. He noticed like an uptake on like painting PVC windows and doors and stuff. Are you doing that type of work as
So
well?
I only did my UPVC course this summer gone. So I think I've done like I've done like a couple of UPVC jobs,
Yep.
and they've mainly been for friends and family, mainly
Because I'm looking
because
at. I'm sorry, because I'm looking
that's
into
okay.
maybe. Because there's a big demand for it in my area. I'm in a rural area as well,
Yeah.
by the way. But there's a big demand because I think the cost of windows uh, it's massive. So,
Yeah. It
so
would
what? If,
be the way into spraying. My recommendation to anybody is when I rocked up to do the UPVC course, it was never a course that I was going to do, but it was one
yep,
that I was offered, and I went on it, and actually I should have done that first, because it's a
right,
really, there was people on the UPVC course that had no decorating experience. I mean, there's sprayers that have never
right,
picked up a paintbrush. Like one of the ambassadors, Ryan, for Jamie, the Abode Academy, he's not a decorator, he is a sprayer, and he's one of the best sprayers ever. Like, he's incredible, and he's never ever picked up a paintbrush. He has no knowledge of being a decorator, but he doesn't, it shows you don't need to be. And
no,
there was
exactly.
people that trained on my UPVC course that he fitted log burners, and in the summer he was looking at when they're quiet, because obviously people don't have log burners
Of
fitted in the
course,
summer.
I
um he went on this UPVC course, and you know what, he was quick hot, he was really really good, and he'd never picked up a sprayer before. So I would recommend doing that one first, because it's, when I say it's easy money, no spraying is easy. But now,
no,
after doing all of the kind of, I think there's only one kind of spraying I haven't done, and that's the worktops, and I'm due on that the end of this year.
right.
And it's the easiest way to earn money through spraying is UPVC, definitely.
Aye, because like you had said there, there's actually a guy locally to me that does roof cleaning, gutter cleaning, that kind of type of work,
Yeah,
and he started advertising it because there's such a demand for it. But no,
do it,
I was
definitely.
thinking because I mean there's certainly a market there for it, and all like you'd kind of said there, I think spraying and decorating it probably will eventually evolve into two separate trades because there's
It
like
almost already is.
we did
Yeah,
spraying at me and Baz did spraying at
Yeah,
college, and even in the whatever 15 year or whatever, it's moved on even since then.
yeah,
Ken, it's like the
yeah,
high velocity, low pressure sprayers, like the HVLP sprayers that we learned at college were run through an air compressor.
yeah,
So
yeah,
whereas
yeah,
you can get them in an electric unit now, you can get a high velocity,
yeah,
low
it's what
pressure
I've got.
sprayer
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly for an elect.
It's very different now. Definitely is.
Yep.
People that have done it at college would probably be quite shocked now at how
I
different it
no,
is.
I've looked. Obviously, we looked at Abode when we were in Bolton, and I looked at Graco, and I've got a Wagner, which is it's like a
Yeah, brilliant
airless unit,
machines. Yeah,
just for doing like whitewashing houses, kind of like mist coating
yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff. No
yeah,
your no your high end work, but me and Bass were both looking into buying like you said, your HVLP sprayers and your mere fit because I think they'd be even good for
yeah,
doing your doors and woodwork in your houses, Ken.
yeah.
yeah.
Well,
The HVLP, I was almost scared of the HVLP, because I mainly had more experience on the airless, and then
Yep.
I obviously started spraying kitchens, and I mainly spray with my HVLP now. If I've got a massive kitchen that's like 30 or 40 doors, plus,
Yeah.
then I'll get the airless out because it's much quicker, because obviously you don't have to keep
Right.
filling your pot up. But yeah, it's honestly like just it's so good. And you'll obviously, I've only ever trained with Abode, but there's nowhere better.
Aye.
It's just brilliant.
What's the model you're using? Because take your opportunity to
I know,
use
yeah.
your
Give it a shout out
Abode
now if you can.
ambassadorship, so you can
Yeah, I
plug it.
mean, it's basically anything that you want to know about spraying, especially if you're a decorator who's trying to move into spraying because you want to earn more money or you just want to increase your skill base. Just message me. I've had 3 people message me this week, who I don't know. I've never. They were new followers, and they were just asking my genuine advice. And I think that's because you see these companies on Instagram, and if you don't know them and you haven't spoken to them, I mean, I think the Abode page is fairly like what you see is what you get, but people want to hear from somebody who's done it. And
Exactly.
I paid for the like several courses before Jamie made me an ambassador, so it's not about free stuff. Like this is more than that. Like, this is a small family run business. I mean, Jamie and his partner both run the business. Anna works in the office,
Yeah, it's about
and
creating
James, who is the
relationships as
other
well, isn't it?
trainer. Yeah, and do you know what? I owe, and this is sad and a bit soppy, but I owe so much to them, because I wouldn't be where I am now without
Yeah.
them. And I know in the next 5 years they're going to be a massive part of hopefully what will be a successful
But if
spray area of my business.
but if you didn't have the courage to even put yourself out there,
And the drive,
do
the
you know what I
determination
mean?
to learn it.
You you
Exactly.
you, you wouldn't have got anywhere.
But I think I do appreciate that, but I think also you need people to offer you their experiences
Yeah,
and reassure
Yep.
you. And mine was positive, and I haven't heard anybody that's had a negative experience with them. And
that's
I
really
think it's
good.
the aftercare. The aftercare with them is brilliant.
Good. That's
So
really, really good.
Because I think
Just
it, like, say, your guy that was doing the log burners that was just looking to date for 6 months. He doesn't sound like he's got the same drive and motivation as what you've got yourself. That you're looking to date because you've got, like you said, you've got your OCD kind of personality, your attention, you're perfectionist. So you're going away there to learn it, but your eagerness to learn that Jamie and his wife or whoever's running the courses with you is is spotting your eagerness to learn. That you're asking
oh
questions.
yeah.
Why am I doing this? Whereas the guy that's doing his log burners there for, well, you're wanting to make money too, but he's only wanting there to make money. You're
yeah.
you're there to learn
Absolutely, yeah.
how to do it right. It's not just money. Is probably
Yeah.
the best way to
No, of
say it.
course
Like,
it's not. No.
Just a quick one. Because we was on about you doing. Obviously, people contact you if they're interested in spraying or whatever.
Yeah.
What is the best way to contact you if any students or any decorators or painters? What is the best way to
It's
contact you?
always just through my Instagram, Cosy Room Interiors, because I'm on there every
Yeah.
day, and they can just drop me a message. I check my request. I get people that don't follow me. It's always comes into my requests,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
there'll be people that'll like I'm not shy. Like, I'll speak to anybody about anything, and if I can help some, loads of people helped me when I went self-employed, and I have a long list of people that literally I'd never met and that answered the phone when I was like crying over wallpaper, or like Jamie when I
Yeah.
was like literally covered in paint because my gun had exploded. Like, he would just like he would answer the phone on a Sunday when he was at the park with his kids. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? And I want to I want to
Be
help
able
and
to
give
give back.
people.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because that's what it's all about. I wouldn't be where I am now,
And
and I
that's
won't
what
be.
and,
I still have to ask people for help.
and
You
that's
know.
what
so
me and
just write. I'll
Sean's
write.
goal
I'll
is
just
to
write
give
that.
back.
I'll just write that down. I'll write down. Remember to phone Georgie the next time I'm
Yeah.
crying over
Yeah.
wallpaper.
Yeah, and I'll tell you to ring somebody else.
Yeah. It's Jamie's number. Um,
Yeah.
so, could you on about you've got a couple of people working for you? Is that a full-time thing? So, have you built a team, or do you kind of work for yourself? Like, what
So
work and manage yourself?
yeah, so primarily I work and manage myself, and that's been for like definitely for the first 3 years of my business. But then, because I will never say no, I take on like massive projects, and I'm a
Yeah.
bit in over my head. But actually, I've always smashed them out, and they've always been fine. But I basically, when I moved back to my hometown, a girl messaged me on Instagram, and she basically, everybody knows everybody where I live. Like it's not
Yeah,
great.
it's a small. Yeah.
I mean, it has its pros, but it's really not always that great.
And then it's a
And she'd
rumour mill
messaged
as
me on.
well.
Yeah, it's not, but it this girl messaged me and she was like, I've heard that you're buying that house behind the garage or whatever, and I was like, I haven't even, like, it's still going through,
Yeah.
and nobody knows other than my mum and dad, like, how the hell do you know? And anyway, she was lovely, and we laugh now. She's now one of my best friends, and we laugh like at the message that she sent me, because at the end she said like girl power with like a fist pump, and it was just hilarious. Anyway, so she's been a decorator longer than I have, but she's a proper old school decorator. I mean, she's definitely modernizing now. So she basically works. She always came on and did bits for me over the last couple of years, but I was never making any money off her. It was just when I was literally like, I had so much work, I didn't know what to do with myself.
Yeah, yeah.
And I needed help on large hall stairs and landings where I had scaffolding and ladder systems that weren't safe on my own. So I had a couple of girls like that in the area who were doing things for me, and then when she went off and pursued a career in something else for 9 months, and she didn't like it, and she rang me at Christmas like this time last year, and she said, I hate my job. I think I want to come back to decorating, but I'm really worried there'll be no work. And I said, you'll always have work because you've got a great reputation. Like, she takes most of the work in my village because she's been here for like 20 years.
Yeah.
She's got like 8 years on me. And she said, okay, but if I don't, have you got enough? And I said, I've got loads. And this was when I was starting to really pursue the spraying side of stuff. So I said to her, look, I'm having a nightmare because my diary is so full. I can't pursue my workshop and get things moving because I haven't got the time. So she said, right, well, do you want me to just take over your diary? And I was like, yeah, that'd be great. So she basically came and basically just did my work for me that was booked in, not completely, because obviously I still needed to earn money, and that's when I started earning money off her. And I was really frank with her, and I said, look, moving forward, like, I am going to be made. And she, because the problem was we were really good friends, and we're like, she's one of my best friends now, so I always said to her, look, we'll be friends over business any day, and if this stops working, then we'll sack that off and we'll
Yeah.
stay friends.
Yeah.
So I've got her, and she runs her own very successful decorating business, but she does very different work to me, and she's always said that. And she likes to do like hand painted murals and like wallpapering, and she does like airbrushing and stuff like that. So she's so talented. And to be honest, I've never found anybody that I'm happy with, and she's great. Like, she's brilliant. I never have to pick her up on anything. So she does anywhere between like a week to for me, and it's very dependent on her diary and what I've got on. So it's really flexible. I pay her really, really well. And she knows she's onto a good thing, but she works really hard. And I think if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. So I pay her well.
Aye.
She does a really good job and she's happy. She uses all my equipment. She has no responsibility. She basically earns what she would earn if she was working for herself a day, but she just has to turn up. I meet her on site. I unload the van. She's got all the kit. I brief her, she meets the client, and other than having to be customer facing and make minor decisions, that's it. And then I'll check in. If it's a small job, I won't check in until the end, but if it's a big job, I'll check in midway through, and then at the end I'll do the clear out with them, and then she just leaves, and I clean up all the brushes. I do everything and pay her, and it works really well. So I've got her and a couple of others as well that do the odd day here
Incredible
and
that you
there, but I'm
can
trying to get
incredible that you can keep a work friend balance, like, because
Yeah, there's a lot of fallouts that happen when.
it sounds easy, but it's incredible. But I think maybe if you're taking a step back and letting somebody get on with that side of the work, and you're not actually there working with them all the time, that probably makes it easier.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I'm very aware that what we have isn't normal, and we've both
No.
had many conversations about this. So it isn't normal, and the reason I know that is because I have got a couple of other girls who do other things, and I'm friendly with them, but they're not close friends. That it's business.
Yeah.
But she actually did so she did her first something different for me last couple of weeks ago. So she said to me, because you're paying me well, I'd quite like to, if you bring somebody else on, I'd quite like to manage them on a job. So like she'd be me when I'm not there.
Yeah.
And I said,
Yep.
okay, well, there's no expectation. She went, no, I want to give it a go. And I said, okay, that's fine. Anyway, I scheduled the whole job. So every day they had a list of what they needed to do, because that's what she likes me to do. And I could tell that sort of halfway through the job, she rang me and she said, I'm not coping very well. Can you come in? And I said, that's fine. So I went in, and you know what? She was fine. She just needed a bit of reassurance. And we've now rejigged how we're going to do things moving forward. And that is that she doesn't want to manage anybody else. And if we do big jobs, she wants me to be there and me to manage the other subby. So there'd be like me, her, and then the other subby, and I manage it, and that's absolutely fine. And at the moment, she's more valuable to me than I'd rather change something and change what I do, so that I can then have time to do what I need to do with the spraying side, than lose her and then not be able to do the spraying side that
Yeah,
makes me more money.
and it all comes
So,
back to communication. Um,
oh, absolutely,
if
yeah,
she hadn't have communicated to you that day, she'd have gone home stressed, probably started
yeah,
having a whinge
Yep.
and going, oh, fucking hell, Georgie, I'm
yeah,
sick to death of da-da-da-da. And then you'd be like, whoa, whoa,
yeah.
whoa, it's
I
the first
think,
I'm hearing about it. Like,
yeah, she's honestly, I'm very lucky, like the relationship we have. And to be honest, when she rang me and said, can you come in, I was like, I'm already halfway there, because I'd already sensed it from her messages, because
yeah,
I
Right.
know her so well.
yeah,
And because we were friends before she'd ever worked with me, and because she's worked with me before, I know when she's getting flustered, and I can tell instantly. And she had some other things going on anyway in her personal life and work life, so it was already a bad week for her, and I knew that. But at the end, she did a great. She texted me after that day, and she was like, "I just needed you to come in and tell me that I was doing okay." And I was like,
I
"Well,
vindicate.
that's why I came
You've
in."
been vindicated.
Yeah, and like every month, we sit down every month over a glass of wine, and we talk about that month, and I make sure that she's happy, and she tells me, and she's not once had an issue. Like she loves it, and she doesn't want to stop, and I don't blame her, because I do treat her well, but I treat her well because she treats my business like I treat my business, and that's priceless for me.
yeah, absolutely.
Um,
So with the scope for growth for yourself, I don't know if you maybe don't want to grow it anymore, but would that be more likely, rather than taking another girl on to work under her, would be to take like an apprentice or something on, and train them up for like totally green, basically like knowing nothing, but obviously to be selective of who you're wanting, somebody that's almost got the perfectionist traits, or the attention to detail traits would be
yeah,
would be so is that kind of growth in your mind, or is there plans for that for the future for
yeah.
Cosy Room?
So there's a lot of big plans for Cozy Room, mainly because I'm never content. It just
Yep,
just just like ticking on, and it's always been probably it's a good trait, but it's also, it means I
100%.
can
It's a
never
great
rest.
trait.
I'm never happy. But yeah, so ideally I'd like to get an apprentice, but I think I'll wait until the kitchen side gets busier, because then I can train them up on both elements. If I just got an apprentice now, there wouldn't be enough kitchen stuff for me to train them up. And then also, I'm not working in the decorating side of the business enough. And also, the girl Hannah, not manages, who carries out the like 80% of my decorating work, she doesn't want that responsibility, and that's
Yep,
fine, and I can't make her have that. So at the moment, there won't be an apprentice at Cozy Room for at least a
no,
year, if not two. But yes, the goal is, that I will probably put all my decorating tools down hopefully in the next 5 years, and I will manage a team
Yeah,
of
right,
hopefully all women. Nothing against employing a man. I just think there's loads of
no,
opportunities for men. And one of the things that we are very known for is the fact that we are an all-female team, and I do get jobs based on the fact that people only want women working in their homes for
it's
personal
a
reasons. It doesn't
it's a
happen often, but it
unique
does happen.
selling. It's a unique
It
selling point
is.
too, and and it's
yeah,
quite it's no completely niche, but it's a nice niche in
yeah,
it,
Yeah.
because men aren't going to be annoyed by that anyway, but you might get wealthy women in your area that don't want men working in their house, and like
Yeah.
having a female only team it kind of eliminates the stress of having some stinking big man walking about your house farting and using your toilet. Kind of what I mean,
Yeah.
innit? So,
This
as
is it.
much as
Like I was, yeah.
women do that
I
too, by
was
the way.
very worried. Yeah, of course they do. I mean, I was very worried about coming on here, and I'm always very worried in all aspects of anything. Like when I did my presentation about spraying at Bolton, and when I was having conversations with like young apprentices, and also just in general social situations and other trades, I'm always very worried that I'll come across as being sexist or anti-men, and I am not in any way. I think I just want my life is great from being a female in
Yeah.
the trade, and I
Yep.
want every woman to have that opportunity,
Yeah.
and I'll do anything to help that. So yeah, the plan is going personal, but I am honest. I want to have a family, and I want to go off and have children, and I actually want the business to be in a position where I can financially support myself and I'm not having to rely on a partner. Not that there's anything wrong with
Yep.
that, and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
quite happy
obviously, yeah.
doing that. And I obviously you have to accept help, but it would be really great. Nowadays you can't live on one income. Yes, you can, but it's really hard. And I don't want to ruin a life experience of having children and not have the financial means to at least survive. I'm not talking about like designer trainers for babies and shit like that. I'm talking about like just generally not being stressed about being able to pay the
Aye.
mortgage, run the car, whatever. So if I can have a team where I can manage it remotely
Yeah.
via the phone, and I've got systems in place now, like Hannah says to me, like when we had one of the subbies on last week, one of the subbies was like, I was on the phone to Hannah, and she was like, where's the nozzles for the cork? And Hannah was like, in the second toolbox with the red box in the third drawer. And they were just there because she knows that where
Aye.
everything
It
has
was
a
just
place,
kept,
and
yeah,
that
yeah.
yeah, and it's always been like that, and nothing ever changes. So I have those systems in place so that eventually I will be able to hopefully manage the business when I go off and have a child or children,
Yeah.
and still bring an income in, and hopefully people are still happy to work for
Because
me.
taking gender out of it, like I think we all aspire to for similar kind of growth. So
Yeah.
like so basically your kind of your plan there is basically, hey, your manager, your painting manager, and when you get busy enough, you select the right candidate, you bring your apprentice on, but the apprentice obviously gets trained up the way you want them to work and the way your manager wants them to work. But then they then move into the kind of role where they're the trusted decorator, and they also get paid really well. They don't need to be
Yeah,
your friend, but they're managed.
yeah,
But
yeah,
then it's like natural progression, because when that decorator then becomes your trusted decorator, your manager's then overseeing jobs rather than being on the tools as much. That you've then got another decorator another trainee or apprentice coming in. So
yeah,
so so it's kind of clear how the company can grow
absolutely. I
and
don't want to get
constantly
too big
grow.
though.
No, but but
Yeah,
but you say that right now, right? You say, but literally,
yeah,
since we're halfway through, right? And since you've started talking, you've told us that you started off going away to do a wallpapering course, and look how much it's evolved in 5 years. You've recently, or this, you've celebrated your fifth year, right? And look how much it's changed. So you're spraying. You've got two
yeah,
subbies working for you. You've got a friend, but a trusted decorator working in a position, basically
yeah,
running
absolutely.
80% of your diary. So you might sit and say, "Oh, I don't want to get too big," but I don't believe you. Is what I'm trying to say. I think that like entrepreneurial kind of side of you clearly is in you. Your perfectionist attitude, the OCD side of it, and
And,
the need
and
to evolve. Ken,
yeah.
it's
And the
clear that it's
knowing exactly what you want. Like you were saying, you
yep.
sound like like you're being sexist or whatever, but it is like, to me, Sean, that you don't come across like that at all. You you just come
Oh,
across
good.
as
I always worry.
you know
Yeah,
exactly what you want. Working with females only is working for you. Why would
yeah. I
you
mean, don't
change
get
it
me
and start
wrong.
hiring men? If it wasn't
Yeah, I
working,
mean,
maybe, oh, let's try adding a man into the mix.
yeah,
Yeah,
like I
it's
would,
not
I,
working.
I
Do you know what
would
I mean?
consider that, but like I do have, so like I've got I've got a trusted contact, if not multiple, for each trade that I call on when I need them in projects, and they're all men, just because
Yeah.
there isn't any other trade base in the area that has a female in it. If they were, I'd use them, but there isn't.
Yeah.
But I have trusted people. But yeah, I think what I mean is I don't want our quality to go down, and that's why by having Hannah, it's a blessing, and she loves it because she literally, like she said to me, like she has she has no responsibility other than doing the job well. It's just like going to work for herself, but she doesn't have any
The
of the dealings
stress.
with the customer. She doesn't have any stress. I am at the other end of the phone
Yep.
all the time. I mean, I was away for it. I think I went to Coventry for the show, and I went in my own car, and I was like, "Mate, use the van." And she used it for one day, and she was like, "It's too big. It's fine. I'll use my van." And that was fine. But she had the
Yeah.
option, and I insured her on the van. But she was
Yeah.
like, "I won't do that again." She was like, "It was too big." But that's fine. Like, so and she's just gone on holiday, and I handed her an envelope with euros in it of cash because she goes, "Mate, you don't need to do that. Like, you pay me really well." And I was like, "It's not about the money. It's the
Yep.
appreciation." Like,
Yeah.
because I said, "What you're doing is meaning that if I didn't have her, I would be compromising my decorating reputation and diary while I'm trying to push the spray side of the business." And I realized very quickly, I got the unit in February, and by April, May, I was absolutely exhausted. And I mean, we're always tired, but I literally thought, I'm either gonna compromise my already like great reputation in the decorating side of the business to grow the spraying side, and I don't want to do that, because if the spraying side fails, I'm going to have to work my arse off to just because I've just thrown something away. And my mum was
Yep.
like, because obviously she's very business minded, she was like, "Don't do that." She was like, "Is that what can you do?" And that's when I took her out for tea. I took Hannah out for tea, and I was like, "Look, I've got a proposal for you." And what she came back with was exactly what I wanted from her, and it worked really well. And that's why I want to keep her, because at least for the next 6 months to a year, it's going to be really, really, really crucial. But I need like four Hannahs. Like,
And
Yeah.
really, like I need
Yeah.
I
four of
think
her.
the other side of the coin, looking for like say an employee point of view, that I think that having yourself as a boss, like, and I mean it even as like as a another woman, say like if you've got a woman working for you and your boss, like a man wouldn't be getting
Yeah,
the same. No matter how friendly a man was with your staff and how well treated, I don't think a man would get, because you don't have the same relationship. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I do agree with that. Yeah,
I don't think a man could run your company the same. You couldn't bring a man in as a manager and expect the same results. For
No,
example, it
absolutely.
no,
wouldn't
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
no,
It's because you've got
yeah,
you know how to treat everything with delicate gloves, or you know how you want to be treated. So
yeah,
Yeah.
then it's
yeah,
Men and
exactly.
women just
So
communicate completely different, and
yeah,
men are
we
fem-
have such open communication that it just
yep.
works. And but I generally know there's an issue, if there is an issue, before she's even had to tell me, because I can read her so well. But I mean, I went into site on this big job, and I knew she was struggling with it, and it was a hell of a job, to be fair. I was trying out a new subby as well, who I'd met, but I've seen her work on social media. She's brilliant. But basically, she'd rung me and she said, "Look, there's a problem area. Can you come in? We're not going to be done." And I said, "No problem." So I changed my day. It wasn't ideal, but it needed to be done. So I thought, right, I'll work Saturday. I'll go in today and help the girls get the job done. So I went in, and she said, "Just take a look at the staircase and the spindles." And I went in, and it was dire. Like, it just wasn't right. And she knew that. So that isn't me it wasn't okay. And I think it was miscommunication. I think one of the girls thought she'd done it, and she thought she'd done it. And then when it had got to top coating stage, I think the new subby had just put the top coat on, and actually, but instead of me going in and being like, "That's shit, like, why are we at this stage and it's like that isn't going to help anybody." Like, the
No.
new subby, she'd never used a dustless sander before. Like, she didn't know how to use them, so she's not going to know how to prep with a dustless sander. I
yeah.
didn't when I started using them, and neither did Hannah, like when she started using mine. Anyway, and I just, so I said to her, "Right, you stop what you're doing." I said, and I knew it was her that had done it, because obviously Hannah hadn't. And I just said, "Look, so can you see this here? You've done that bit really, really great, but this bit just needs a little bit of this." And I said, "If you use this setting with this pad and do this," and we basically just redid that section. And she was like, "Oh, she was like, I'm really glad you've shown me that." She said, "Because actually, I'm new to using these. And she just needed, like, it isn't that she was crap. She's brilliant. She's a
Aye.
fantastic
Yep.
decorator. She's more qualified than me, but she'd never used a dustless sander. So she said to me, this is alien to me. She said, I don't know how much pressure to put on. I don't know she just didn't know how to use them.
Yeah.
And actually, as soon as I'd shown her, she was like, I want to buy one. I was like,
Aye.
yeah, this is the problem. Like, you'll want all of them. And I think it was, and then instantly Hannah felt reassured because she didn't have to have that difficult conversation. And I don't pay her. I mean, I pay her well, but I can't expect her to have those conversations. So I did it, and everybody was happy. She now knows how I want something doing, and she knows how
Yep.
to carry that out rather than me just going, that's shit. You've not done it properly, without actually telling her it wasn't shit. 90% of it was great, but it
Yep.
wasn't to the standard that
It
I
wasn't
wanted.
right.
So I showed
It
her how
wasn't
to
right.
create
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
how do you balance the creative and business sides of things? Like, obviously of your
I don't
business.
don't know if I do. Um, I, I think I don't think I do is the answer. I
Yeah.
think you go through phases, and I think at the moment, personally and business wise, the last year has been like my hardest year in business yet, and personally, just with things that have been going on in my life. And it's been shit. I'm going to be really honest. It's not been very nice, and I'll be very glad to see the end of 2025, which obviously to people looking in will think that's ridiculous, like, you've started spraying, you've done this, and they think, yeah, actually, like, I have done all those things, but it's been brutal, it's been really difficult. And I've completely just gone AWOL on social media, where a lot of people have been like, where are you, like, you're not on stories, you're not posting and whatever. And it's just because I've just kind of had a year where I just needed to focus on what was going to make me money. And don't get me wrong, if people messaged
Yep.
me and they needed me, I would reply as and when I could. Like, I didn't completely ignore people, but I just needed to focus on the stuff that was going to actually benefit me in this immediate time, which is that I've got a lot going on. I need to keep my money coming in and pay my bill. Like, I live on my own, so I am the sole income for my home,
Yeah.
and it was important that I did that. So I don't balance them. I just try and if I remember, take pictures
Go
before
through
and
little
after.
phases. Yeah. Yeah.
I just go through little phases where I'm really, really good at posting, and then, but at the moment, for the last year, my head has been in business because that's where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like a type of kind of burnout with the social media art. Like, I think we kind of spoke about it at the
Yeah.
start of the
Yeah.
show. Like, it's like you almost you work all day, your head's on emails, you're looking at the upcoming jobs, you're looking at your diary, you're ordering materials, you hate going and quote for people, you've got quotes to do for people. The last
Yeah.
thing you want to do on a sitting down at 7 o'clock on a Friday night. Obviously, you're doing a podcast right now, but it's sit down and think, right, I'm going to do a post from Instagram or my Facebook page, and
Yeah.
I mean, I might only take you an hour at very most to get all the photos and make everything look nice, but
Oh
that's
yeah.
half an hour you're not sitting, you're not walking your
Yeah.
dog, you're not sitting watching the
Yeah.
traitors or something, Ken. So it is
It's
burnout,
funny
Ken.
you say it. It's funny you say it, really, because I mean, I've always had dogs my whole life, but I recently got my own dog. And when I say recently, she's like just over a year old. But since I got Daphne, like, I don't, in the evenings I would just sit, watch TV on my phone and edit videos and reels. But now, like,
Yeah,
she's been a puppy for the last year, so you can't just sit when you've got a puppy and they are literally
no,
all over you. And I thought, this is just too difficult. And that's not, like, it's this really ridiculous excuse, but my evenings now are like getting home, walking the dog, like, shower, eat, answer emails, pricing, and
Yeah.
also entertain said dog.
Yeah.
And I
but
don't
that's
have any
better for
children,
you
so I can imagine it's even
because
harder.
but you imagine, well, like, so, but it wouldn't, no matter if it's your kids, your wife, your husband, your dog,
Yeah.
that's a dopamine release you're getting for playing with it, for
Oh,
playing with a puppy.
absolutely.
You're not getting a
Yeah.
dopamine release sitting doing a
No.
post for Facebook.
No,
So,
and
so you're doing it alone.
No.
You need that. So
I also think
um,
your priorities change. I think the more you get into it,
yeah,
I was like I had an unhealthy obsession with Instagram and social media when I first started, and I was on there constantly because I was trying to grow a platform. And it wasn't my intention. My intention when I got Instagram was to have a place where I could direct potential customers to that could see my work, because actually there's nothing more unprofessional than you flicking through your phone in front of a customer and they're behind you
Yeah.
and there's like pictures of your dog and your niece and whatever, and it's like, it's not appropriate. So, you know, or like me, like drunk on the floor or whatever, like it's just not that I get drunk and go on the floor very often,
Sounds
but
like
still, you know, it's not
the
appropriate.
iPhone.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just all like really like funny
Aye.
memes that like people send you. So that is why I did it. I got an Instagram platform, but I actually then became obsessed with it. And
Yep.
there are girls and guys now that I can see who are new to the social media thing, and I have to say to them, like, I had a conversation recently with one of the girls, and I just said, you need to rein it in. Like, you're gonna because I'm talking from my experience. It became like I cared about people commenting on my stuff, and oh, so and
Aye.
so hasn't liked it or whatever. Now, like, someone said to me the other day, oh, your new spraying video, like, how many views is that? And I looked, and it's got like 16,000 views on it or something, like 16k or 16.5k. And I was like, oh shit, I didn't even realize. Because it's not that I don't care, I do care, but I'm just not obsessed with it anymore.
Yep.
And I used to get a bit of a release from like, oh, look at all those likes, and now I just unless they're paying to have some
Because
work done,
that's
I'm not
like
bothered.
that's like a fake, like your phone gives you like a fake dopamine release, so it's a
It
total
does.
advert. So you're looking, you wake
Yeah.
up in the morning, you doom scroll it like they call it nowadays, and you look
Yeah.
at it, and basically it's fake. So
Yeah.
like you said
Yeah.
earlier, you're looking at these pictures for folk that are putting, like, anybody can take a picture. I can take a picture of the worst wall I've
Yeah.
painted, and if you take a picture in the right light, it can look, like you say, it look brilliant, but it's
Yeah.
fake. It's not really what you're seeing
It's
in
not
social
real
media.
life.
It's a
Yeah.
lot of shite,
I'd
really.
much rather have
But
a conversation with somebody on social media, you
exactly,
know, now.
Yeah.
or face to face, even like this, you get more out of
Yeah.
staying something like this
It's like I've
than what
always
you're.
Yeah.
said, because you said before that it used to bother you about people putting comments and stuff like that. But I've always said there's no one on any social media that could type any kind of comment and offend me. You will never offend me by typing a
No.
comment.
Yep,
Yeah,
Like,
I've been really lucky.
that's a mentality thing with you too, though, Baz. But look,
Yeah,
fortunately,
people
we're
aren't
probably
normally like that.
no. I, like
Yeah.
some people get really worked up with just the slightest wee bit of negativity
yeah,
towards them,
yeah,
like, so,
yeah,
so
I've only ever had it once, and it really threw me. And I think it happened at a time where I was on a full house, and I was knackered. I was ill. It was like -13 up here, and there was no heating in this house, and I was just fed up. And I think somebody commented, and it was actually a girl, which pissed me off even more.
yep,
Because that just annoyed me, because
yeah,
like, if you're a man, okay, that's on you, but like, don't
yep.
knock. And it was a female in our trade, which really upset me. And I thought, no, I'm not having this. And I wasn't rude, but it's people making assumptions of a post that looked like I was painting the ceiling, and it, and it
It's
looked like
unfinished or
I
something.
yeah, and I think, and actually I took it, and it really upset me to the point where I haven't spoken to that person since. And I know people say that's a bit pathetic, but actually, why knock another why be
Exactly.
mean? I just don't get it. I just
It's
don't get it.
it's
Why do you need to do it?
inferiority complex. That's basically what it is.
It says more about them than it does
Why?
about you.
Because
But
we've
it
got
really knocked me. Yeah.
we've got a few female decorators and male decorators lined up coming on, and we had
Brilliant.
Stuart McLean on, who gets his fair share of trolls, but we've also
Yeah.
got in 2026 a wee what do you call it, like a wee Easter egg for people coming up. We've got Joanne Hay coming on. Now, Joanne Hay's
Oh
massive
yeah.
in the decorating world,
Yeah,
and
she's brilliant.
we're
Yeah.
obviously got her coming on next year. But she gets loads of trolls, a lot of it for men, by the way, because
Yeah.
I think
I've
it is an
seen that, and I don't.
lie.
I've seen her
And
talking about it,
she's
and
brilliant,
I
by
don't
the
know
way. But
why.
I think
She's
Joanne's
great,
quite good
yeah.
because she bites back. Ken, she's no
Yeah,
scared to
and she,
get
do you know
the
what?
bit
She's
back.
so she's so intelligent that
Yep,
when she comes back so like much better than I would, because I just
yep.
can't think that quick, and
Because
I'm not
I
actually
think
that
she can.
intelligent. I've got more common sense, but she's great. I've spoken to her a few times, and
Yep.
she is great. But the thing is, when you get bigger on social media, you attract all this. But
Aye,
when I've read stuff, she
exactly.
handles things so well.
So no, I think. I think we'll maybe you've kind of answered 11 and 12, so we'll maybe jump them up. I want to hear. I want to get on to maybe the fit stuff. So obviously
Yeah, of
you're in.
course.
So can you tell us how the FITT, the Females in the Trade, was founded and what inspired you to start it? So
Yeah, so basically, so Hannah, who works for me now, well, I don't like saying she works for me 'cause she works with me. We were working on one of my jobs, and we were having a chat, and we said there is stuff, but we thought we'd like to, create something where we can support women that are in trade, but also bring more in. Anyway, and then it just kind of went from there, really. She is one of the founders, and but what I then went on to create, because she left the industry for that 9 months, I said to her, do you mind if I pursue this? And she went, no, absolutely, do it. She said, I'm 100% behind you. And then that's when I came up with the FIT, so the females in the
Yeah, yeah.
trade. And the
yep,
reason I did that was because it has a double meaning. So not only will people think, oh, she's fit, like she's all
yep,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
but or actually it doesn't mean that. It has a bigger meaning. And I think often we are people's preconception of women in the trade are that there's this like OnlyFans, like people are playing on it because of their sexuality and the way that they look. Not everybody, but that there are people doing that. And do you know
yep.
what? Brilliant. If that's what they want to do, I have nothing against that at all, and I'd never tell anyone not to do it. But that's why I chose to call it Females in the Trade. And then it kind of just went from there. Admittedly, it's kind of taken a bit of a backseat in the last year. And like I say, I'm a very honest person, but I've had so much going on personally and
Yeah.
Yep.
within the business that it has
And
taken a backseat. And I'm disappointed in that in myself, really, because it is still there and there are still plans for it in the future.
is it just is it only decorating base? Because obviously we don't know
No.
that much, but I purposely didn't research it. I wanted to hear it for your own.
Yeah, so it's basically an initiative that's been founded to not only support women in all skill-based trades, but that are already in it. So like you might be an apprentice, you might be running a business, you might be working under a male team, or whatever. You might even just work in like a merchant as a female.
Yep,
But to also try and encourage and mentor more women in. So the biggest thing that we're finding across all trade, and this is male or female, is that I don't know whether you're noticing it, but people aren't coming out of school wanting to go into skilled trade, and that's a real worry.
Yeah.
So when I was at school, I mean, I'm 29, so I'm 30 in January, but all of the men, and this is it. There was no women coming out of school doing trade, but they were all going on to be joiners, electricians, plumbers, builders, whatever, and they're absolutely thriving. Like they're all now like running really successful businesses. They're doing really, really well because they literally left school and did it. And if I'd have done that, I would be where they are now, but I
yep,
didn't. I went off, did a degree, and I started it a lot later. And also, I didn't have that opportunity because it wasn't a thing. Like, yes, I probably could have done it, but what women weren't doing that. So if boys and men and teenagers or whatever aren't coming out and going into from school into skilled trades, then certainly women aren't, because so that is a massive worry. And I think we are all going to be run off our feet in the next 20 years, because the next generation, the last generation and the next generation, that they're not coming into trade
yep.
because it's hard work.
And so is that a
So that's what we're
reflection
kind of
on?
trying to do.
Is that kind of some like? Obviously, we're not want to get into anything too political, but is that where the country is at the moment? Do you think it's obviously like? Because I personally think that I could take an apprentice on right now. I'm 4 year into starting my own business. Right, I worked
Yeah,
for a company before, and my plans all kind of similar to what you were doing yourself was to take an apprentice on, train them up how I want them to be, pay
yeah,
them well, and then they're going to do it for me. So the natural progression moves on how I want to grow it. Right, but I feel like obviously you do still get the kind of help of the government pay half your wages and stuff, half the apprentices'
yeah,
wages while you're training, but there's no security and there's no like, so I think maybe leaving school, almost like if you start working, you're the stupid one at the moment, because you're kind of like you're
yeah,
almost held by the hand by the government by they're no forcing people into work. There's no
Yeah.
There's no incentive, is there really?
incentives. That's
No.
so it's
I think it's a very uncertain time for everybody. I mean, I've noticed like I say, this has been the worst year in business for me, and I do find that the normally by this time my diary for decorating is nearly full for next year, and it's not. I'm probably not even a quarter of next year full, which is absolutely terrifying. But I think people just aren't. There's so much uncertainty, and I
yep,
think that goes the same with people coming out of school. People don't want to know what they want to do. But my aim with females in the trade, the goal is that I would like to go into. I mean, I've already started it. I was there at Bolton. I mean, I was kind of juggling at Bolton at the trade decorator, because I was there as admin. I was there with my ambassadorship with Abode, but then I was also there as females in the trade, and we did have a banner. And I spoke to so many girls. There was a couple of colleges there, and that I would love to go into schools, colleges, and I would like to eventually the the company that people can contact. So, for example, your sister, whatever, could ring me and say, Georgie, my niece is showing an interest, or my daughter is showing an interest in becoming a plumber. She's based in the northeast. Is there anybody in that area? I can have a look. I want to then have like a list of trusted trade men or women. It doesn't have to
yep,
be women, that can then mentor them either remotely or actually give them work experience, whether that be a day, a week, 2 weeks, or a paid role, or if they're an apprentice looking to actually have an apprenticeship, to do that. So we can support them at every level of their journey, whether that's, oh, I've just got an inkling that I want to do this. And it could also be like a 45-year-old woman whose kids have grown up, and actually financially she doesn't need to rely on a job, but she's got this interest to be a decorator.
yep.
Can I come and do some paid work or unpaid work? So that's kind of where we want to go. And there's obviously, eventually I would like to think that it's not led financially at all. It's not a finance thing for me. It's more of a passionate thing and something that I
Yep.
really want to pursue. But it would be great that eventually I can put more time into this as my job,
Aye.
and then obviously carry on the Cosy Room Interiors and manage that, but then also be doing talks and presentations. And I already mentor people anyway, because I already have people. We all do. You'll speak to
Yep.
people daily
Yep.
and give people advice. So we are all doing an element of mentoring. And I actually had a girl come to me, and this is way before females in the trade. I was only a year into being self-employed, and it was a girl that I went to university with. And I think maybe 2 years in, a year and a half, 2 years in, and she contacted me, and I remembered her really well. I'd worked with her on show roles and things like that. And because of the nature of the degree that I did, you worked very, very like hands-on with each other. Like you were with them for like 12, 14 hours a day for like a month on a show. And she contacted me and she said, I'm really interested in what you're doing. Can I come and shadow you for 2 weeks? And I was like, yeah. I said, I can't pay you. I said, but I'll buy you lunch and that. And she said, oh no, that's fine. Anyway, she came for 2 weeks, and because I already knew her, we got on like a house on fire. Anyway, she now runs her own business and she's absolutely thriving. And it wasn't until I started Females in the Trade and she messaged me and she said, you do realise that you've always done this anyway? And I was like, yeah, I probably
Aye.
have.
Never had a
You
name
know,
for
and I
it.
probably need to have a chat with her and maybe do a bit of I don't know, a video with her and stuff. But I enjoyed doing that, and it cost me nothing, because she came and helped me and
Yep.
she was brilliant and she really enjoyed it, and it's another woman in the trade that's doing an amazing job. So
So what kind of response have you had for like men and women since launching it? It'll be
I've had
generally
nothing. Yeah, I've had nothing but positive things.
aye.
um I mean, there are a few people who have there are a lot of women in the trade who don't like to play the female card, and that's absolutely fine. But generally, no, I've had no issues. I've had so much support from men and women. My biggest worry, like I've already said, was that it would come across as something that it's not, and that
Aye.
it was that we were an anti-men organization, and that is absolutely not the case.
No,
We
because
want men to help us,
the opposite for because when Paula, we spoke to Paula obviously, and through Paula we got you on. But when Paula had gave us a couple of names, let's say when me and Baz had heard about FITT, it really aligns with stuff that me and Baz are thinking of
Yeah.
bringing, and no, so it's more like tradespeople or the future. We really
Yeah,
want to
great.
push this. Again, it's really like aligning with what we are thinking about, getting young people interested in the trade, and obviously we've all three of us who came through a different learning experience or
Yeah.
different thing about. So no, we when we heard what it was and we kind of looked into it, no, done a lot of research into it to be fair, but it really aligned, Baz, didn't it? Or what
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
similar?
'Cause obviously we've got quite a few things going on in the background,
Yeah,
like,
of course.
but like we want to inspire. I know you want to inspire more females. We also want to inspire more females, but we
Yeah,
also want to
Yeah, of course.
inspire younger people to get into the trade and stay into the
Absolutely.
trade.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and there's a lot of things that Paula was telling us about what you do that really did align with what we want to do.
yep,
That's
So
great.
we
We might even
thought,
be able to work together then,
well,
really,
that's it.
with
exactly
things
that.
that are coming
Aye,
up.
Because I think she gave us quite a few names, didn't she, Sean? And then
yep.
obviously she told us about you, and it was like, right, let's get her on because
Yeah.
she's
And we were very eager to hear somebody on like yourself that's very much empowering and all. Like, even though what you're saying is very like you're empowering women, I still believe that
you're still
what you're
empowering
saying,
people. Do you know what I
some
mean?
of the
Like,
some of the advice that you're giving, not just inspiring women, it's inspiring every tradesperson of the
yeah,
future. And so you might just think, oh, you're very like you're worried
I'm
about it
aiming it
sounding
towards women, but
sexist and aiming it, but it definitely doesn't come across like that. I think
yeah,
it comes across totally great. It's loads of good business advice and loads of things that, like, until somebody actually verbalizes it, that you don't think it,
Yeah.
and it sounds like a really good idea. So
yeah,
no, we're certainly resonating with a lot of the stuff that you're saying. Like,
absolutely.
Brilliant. That's
Um,
great.
are we on 16, Sean?
um, yes, I think so.
Because
Yep.
do you know what I was thinking? Because she already answered 11 and 12. We skipped the fucking.
But I
Yeah,
thought
you
that
did.
the
I
chat
haven't.
was gone.
I know
The
it was
chat was
going
gone so
naturally.
good.
Yeah,
I didn't want to spoil the
I
flow by going
thought
into Would I Like
I
You.
That's all
So
thought
right.
we're on 16 here, and we haven't we haven't done the Would I Lie to You yet.
well, I'm just gonna say apologies to regular watchers that we're skipping the Would I Like You, because I'm enjoying
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
listening to the chat too much. And sorry, George, if I've made you think up two lies for us to tell us. So
That's all
we
right.
can do it
No
at the end
I
problem.
if she
just
wants
I
to.
just felt
If
it
you
was
want
I
to,
was
fair
going
to
to say I
Georgie.
did probably did waste a good like half an hour trying to think of it.
uh, to be fair, Baz wasted a good half an hour trying to get the sound settings working right too. So
Yeah.
eh, no, I'm only joking, Baz,
We're
because
all wasting time. Woohoo!
it really took stuff personally. So
I do.
I'm only joking.
So, what are some of the key challenges you see women facing in the industry today?
I think it's perception. I think women, I'm not saying it doesn't happen because it does still happen. There is still an element of, I don't think it's sexism, but there is an element of sexism, but it's very, very
Snobbery.
small.
Yeah,
It's,
Snobbery's a better
yeah,
word.
I think it's, I think it's the bravado and the sexual innuendo and things like that,
yeah,
which, look, we all work, regardless of your industry, it's going on. This is
yeah,
why HR is like around. It's probably if you spoke to somebody in HR, it's probably the biggest like issue. But I think the biggest thing that women are going to face is that they probably think that it's worse than it is. And I'm not saying it isn't bad, because it's still not in a place where it should be for 2025, but I think people would be pleasantly surprised. The women that I speak to, and there is a large circle of us in the decorating industry and also in other trades, because obviously with females in the trade, I've tried to expand that. Um, I would say 80% of them have had nothing but good exposure, and I think we're really well supported in our industry specifically from men who aren't like that. But
Yep.
unfortunately, there are still a few that are making things hard work for people. So I
yeah,
think, and the other thing, I think it's the the feeling of being, people don't look like, as women and men, look, women are just as bad as men in some cases with certain things, but women don't want to go to work and feel like a piece of meat. Like, they don't want to feel like that. And for some people, going onto a site that's got loads of men on it would just completely it wouldn't even be worth thinking about it, never mind them even, like walking past a building site when you're on your way to work as like an accountant, for example, in a dress.
Wolf,
Some women
wolf
find
whistle.
that they will cross the road. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the wolf whistling or whatever. And some people aren't going to shout back in your dreams, mate, like I would, but some people would. And I think that's the biggest worry. I think that women feel that that it's worse than it is. And what I want to do is explain to them that actually there's more good men in the trade than there are bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just also just compliment you guys, because you guys must have it hard now, having women on site, which, yes, it shouldn't be a problem, but it's unknown, and it's much better than it was, but it's still a little bit unsure. So for example, like when I was subcontracting, when I moved back from the south to the north, when I was rebuilding the business, I was working on a big site, and the site manager actually built the extension on my parents' house when I grew up. And he came up to me and he went, and he used to, whenever he visited site, he used to come find me straight away and make sure I was okay, because he probably knew that I was probably getting a little bit of shit and like
Yeah,
whatever. And he used to come and have a brew with me and be like, "Is everything all right?" And I think he just wanted to make sure that I was happy and not being abused, which I wasn't. And I had a conversation with him, and I went, we're just not set up. So like, there was no fans, that's not a problem, but like there's no sanitary bins. So like, if you're a woman, on your period on site, where are you gonna put stuff? You shouldn't be having to put it in your van on a hot day and leaving it there all
yeah,
day, because
yeah,
that's disgusting. But these are the things that women think about. I went to the toilet like 5 times in like 4 hours, and the guy that I was working for was like, "Fucking hell, have you got, like, are you ill? What's wrong?" And I was like, "No, actually, I'm like on my period, and I'm."
Yep.
And his face, and he went, "I'm really sorry." He was like, "I'm really sorry," and he did apologize, because he doesn't think about that, because he's not gonna, is he? Why would he
yeah.
think about that?
Exactly. Yeah.
So
No.
I think that's the biggest thing. And I think the other thing is also, just I think the criticism that they get from people who are actually like dear to them. So for example, there are women that wouldn't apply to a job advert around where I live, because their husband would be saying, "You're not fucking doing that. Like, no wife of mine is going to work with a load of blokes,"
Yeah.
which is wrong, but that is still happening.
Such a 1950s mentality, that though,
I
innit?
know.
Yeah.
Innit? It's
Yeah, but
sad
it does
that,
still
like,
happen. And I think they would worry that they wouldn't be able to physically do it, mentally, with the stigmatism. But actually, like, it's fine. There's very little that I can't
Right.
do.
1 second, guys.
You know.
I won't be set.
you're okay, boss. His
Um,
son there.
yeah.
You're
So
alright.
there's nothing.
Just stay there.
There's nothing that I couldn't do, as a woman, that
Because
isn't that a man could do.
when I worked for my last company,
Hello.
his laptop camera zooms in. It's obviously got some kind of facial feature on it, and it
I did
zooms in.
wonder
And
what it was. Yeah.
aye, that's
What's he
why when he
doing?
sits back in the chair, sometimes it really zooms in on him. No, because when I worked for the last company I worked for, I actually worked with
Get your jams on as well.
when I first started working for the company that I'd worked for 7 years, they had a massive Polish workforce, right? And I
Yeah.
had
Love you.
a bad experience. When I left the school, I worked with some Polish
Sorry about
people,
that,
and they
guys.
were really rude to me. And so I had a perception of going and working for this company with loads of Poles, thinking because I think if you have one bad experience, you
Yeah.
automatically feel like you're going to have bad experiences with every Polish person you work for, which
Yeah.
obviously there's
Isn't, yeah.
arseholes in Britain. Stop drinking out a carton, please, for the love of God. Eh? Infuriates me that. Eh? So when I went and worked for this company with the Poles, that there was there's a female decorator that had worked for this company. She's worked there for probably the best part of 20 years, and she's like a sister to me. She's great. I love, but see, for the first few months, it was really difficult working with her because I went in with this perception, like, Polish people are going to be arsehole to me, which was wrong, obviously. and
Yeah.
because they did things differently. So it wasn't because she was a female; it was because the Polish way and the Scottish or the British way of doing stuff was worlds apart. But what I actually had to get my head around was the end product was the same, obviously. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is fine, which is the most important bit. But I ended up I worked with that girl for 7 years, and she's still to this day like a sister to me. She's the best decorator I've ever worked with, by the way. She's a great person
Brilliant.
and
Yeah.
kind-hearted. But there was also two other. So I worked with three female decorators. Well, I actually worked with four at the same time, but I worked with three, and so I was the only man working with three females, right? And when you're
Yeah.
saying about as much as men don't like talking about, but their time of the month, let's say, it
Yeah.
was like you could tell, and it was like, oh, you're talking about having to run a company with kid gloves and having to be very delicate in every situation. Trust me, you've got the idea as a man what it's like dealing with
Yeah.
having to tiptoe around about three women, Ken, that are obviously in
Yeah, I can
different
imagine.
cycles, let's say,
Yeah.
Ken. So, it's not just you're talking about the man that I'd asked you that time, like, why you gone to the toilet 5 times?
Yeah,
It's
he just completely not even, he wasn't being an
I
ass. He just not even thought about it because he'd never had to,
exactly
you know?
because it's something totally new. So, talk about steep learning curves. I've been there and did
Yeah.
loads of it, by the way. So,
And
Yeah.
I think it's also the fact that like I often get it's actually happened less on site than it has in clients' homes. So for example, it's happened a few times where like a guy would be like, "Oh, can I help you get something out of your van?" And I'm like, "That's really nice of you, but no, thank you." Just because I didn't need a hand. If I needed a hand, I would have asked, or I
Yeah.
yeah,
would have said, "Thank you, that's lovely." But then sometimes like and that's on site. But then there's been other times where like I've been in clients' homes and the husband, like the wife's gone, "Oh, go and help Georgie get her stuff out of the van or whatever." And I'm like, "Oh God, this
Yeah.
is
I
I'd
don't
rather
need
aye,
the
you
help.
didn't." I don't because and it's not being ungrateful. Even if she'd have asked me, I would have been like, "No," because I have a process of what needs to come in.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had one guy and he was an older gentleman and he was so lovely, like such a gent, like bought me flowers and fizz at the end of the job, had a coffee waiting for me every morning when I got there, same time, like it was like clockwork. And him and his wife were great. I was doing a full house for them. And I remember on day one, she sent him out and was like, "Go and help Georgie." And I couldn't say no. He was an older man
yep,
and I was like a sucker. I was like, "Oh, you're so cute. That's great." Anyway, I handed him my I put my extractor at the back of the van on one side with the brakes on, and the Mercury extractors are heavy, aren't they? Like they're really
yep,
heavy. And I left it there because I thought I'll get that at the end because I knew he wouldn't be able to lift it, and that wasn't me being. I just knew he wouldn't
aye,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he's an older man. He was like 70, 75. Anyway, he went to try and lift it and he couldn't lift it. He just could not lift it off the back of the van. But it
yeah, of
just
course,
shows you that
aye,
yeah, and I just lifted it up, like put it down. And he was like, "Bloody hell." And he was like, "This is it, you see, we make this assumption that you're a woman and that you aren't strong." And I was like, "Well," I said, "Look," I said, I'm not here saying that that women can be as strong as women as men because it's not the case. Generally men are stronger, but then I am stronger than some men because
yep.
that's
Yeah.
not many, but there are some.
And
So there is this
some women are
perception.
stronger than me and Baz, exactly, Ken. So it's
Exactly. So I
yeah.
think I think that would be a thing to point on as well. But yeah, yeah, definitely.
Because there's your fit. Actually, you're saying it has two meanings, but it actually it's got three meanings because uh,
Well, it does have three. I just haven't touched
de-
on the third. But it'd be interesting
decorating.
to see what you think it is.
Decorating is a physically active trait, so, a trade.
Yeah.
Sorry, that you hate to be physically fit to date. So
Yeah. So
you
I'm
look at
glad
your mates
you've found that.
that are decorators, look at your mates that aren't a decorator, and they say, "Oh, I'm going to paint my hall," but they're not getting you to do it. They're going to paint their kitchen themselves.
Oh
They're
yeah,
knackered.
they always moan day one.
They're halfway around
Yeah.
the room, and they're absolute. I don't know how you do that for a living. I'm knackered, but
Yeah. They
they
do.
are,
They do say that. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
if I was to say, right, I'll come in and paint that kitchen, you're whizzing on. They're like, how you done that much? How
Yeah,
you been so
but
quick?
you just this is it, like, and it's the same I say to them. I just reply and say, "Well, I couldn't sit and do like engage my brain like you do all day on your computer. So it is relative, but like it is interesting that you've picked up on that third meaning, because the third and fourth meaning of females in the trade is that we not only we are physically fit, but we fit into this industry. Whether you want to be a painter, whether you want to be a plumber, like we fit in. So it's kind of has like 3-4 meanings. But yeah, like the strength thing is funny, because like I remember having a conversation with my ex-partner when I first met him, and I remember it was summer and I had like a strappy top on, and I took my jumper off and he just went, "Fucking hell, so you got bigger shoulders than I do." And I was like, "Well, when you roll ceilings like for a living, like you get massive shoulders." And like when we were like out and stuff, he'd be like, "Oh, this is my missus, she's got bigger shoulders than I do." And I was conscious about it, but he used to make a joke out of it.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
physically a lot stronger than I was,
Yeah.
but my shoulders were massive. And like even Hannah, she's tiny, like the girl that works for me, she's so petite and dainty, but she's absolutely stacked. Like her muscle definition in her shoulders is ridiculous, you know.
So that's something else to write then. Don't ask you for an arm wrestle when I see you at Coventry
Yeah.
in 20 days' time. But
Yeah,
it's
I'll
quite funny
lose.
that
I'll
though,
lose, don't worry.
that fit's got 4 meanings. But I hate to laugh at that now, that because you made you look fit, or sorry, no, you look fit, but like females in the trade,
Yeah.
you made it your second meaning. It should really be the fourth, shouldn't shouldn't it? It
Yeah,
should
it
be.
probably should.
Uh, so well played on that, in at least.
How can businesses and tradespeople do more to create an equal opportunities for women?
I think they're already doing it. I think just being mindful of if a woman comes to interview for a job, like take them seriously, which I can't imagine they wouldn't.
Yeah, yeah,
If you're not interviewing for jobs but you're on site and there's a woman, make them feel comfortable, make them want to come back, have
Yep.
normal conversations with
yeah,
them. I think similarly about making crude comments, don't not make crude comments, because there's a line, and I think some women absolutely can't tolerate it and don't want to, and that's
yeah,
fine, but some women would feel left out, that they're not being part of the
yeah,
banter. And this is where and it's a message that I actually promote within females in the trade, is that we are very aware that women in general are really hard work. Like, we're very aware of that.
yeah,
So we're not trying to say to you, you need to be better, men need to be better, because it's not the case. Because the analogy that I always use is that nowadays men can't win, because you could be out in the street and you could open the door for a woman and you'll either
Aye.
get, "Thank you, that's really kind," or, "Why you open the door for me? I'm a
yeah.
woman,
I
I
can
can
do it
open my own
myself.
door."
Yeah, yeah,
So there's this, but then if you don't offer, you then also get, "Oh, that man, what he didn't, what a
yeah,
scumbag, he didn't even offer to open the door." So
You can't have it
you
both
can't
ways.
win. You can't
Yep.
win. So we are very aware of that. And we're not trying to say that. I think we're just trying to say, be mindful
yeah,
that, like all men, not all women are the same. And I would react very differently to somebody else on site, as would other women on, and also trade specific as
yeah,
well, and their personal experiences as well. And whether you're male or female, you don't know what kind of experience you've had with the opposite sex. Like,
No.
you could have terrible situations and things like that. So
Just
yeah, that's kind of
going
what
back
I'd
to
say.
what you were saying there before, like, so when you're saying that somebody had asked you, "Oh, do you want help lifting your tools?" When you're on a site, no, the old guy, but you'd said, "Oh, do you want help with lifting
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
to your van or back to your van?"
yeah,
That's me. But that's not just me with women. That's me
yeah.
with
That's just
everybody.
in general. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm
Yeah,
that
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
person. So I don't know.
yeah,
It's interesting to hear that, because it'd be quite no shit, because somebody can obviously refuse you. But if you're on the site and you didn't know me, and you were lifting your Mirka extractor, I would naturally
yeah,
just
yeah,
say,
yeah.
I'll give you a hand,
Yeah,
I'll help
I
you put that in
would.
your van.
I would as well.
But,
Whether it was
but
man or woman, I would as well.
then if there was a 60-year-old plumber in the building and he's lifting his Hilti toolbox down the stairs or something, I'd be exactly the same with him.
yeah.
So that's
Yeah, of
that's
course.
my
And I
way.
think
Yeah.
as well with
I
site, I think even if someone had 4 bags of plaster, Sean would be right there asking, "Do you need any
I
Yeah,
help?"
wouldn't
yeah,
help a
cool.
I wouldn't help a plasterer. Don't help a plasterer. It's only
I
only
thought that
people
might
with
take a little second to kick in.
I
But I
I
think I think I think that's the point that we're kind of trying to make, is that it's very difficult. And when I started to think about doing the females in the trade thing, I was very like in two minds about whether to do it, because it's very difficult to do anything like this in this kind of time, because it can be it can be seen in the completely the wrong way, and I think that's what I didn't want. I wanted it to be very open and honest, and for everybody to be able to put their own opinion on women in the trade. And it's not that I don't want everybody to agree with how I see it, because I know that some women would say, Georgie, you're too lenient, and I give it back too much, right? And I'm aware of that. Like, if somebody said something to me, I would just fire something even worse back. But that's wrong too, and I'm not saying that that's right.
Aye,
But it's a mechanism that I've dealt with, going through my whole life, being like wolf whistled at, or like being in pubs and my
aye,
bum being grabbed. And that's my personal experience, because that's all I've ever known, because I've always grown up in like rural areas with men that think that that's an okay thing to do.
exactly.
But some people would say, do you know what I mean? So I think it's just about being very open and honest about people's
See, I've got
opinions towards it.
because I'm a dad to two daughters, and one daughter's like 19 and one's about 12. But my second daughter, she's similar to me, and I mean, she's free to do whatever she wants, but I see a lot of myself in her. I can almost see her like
Yeah,
maybe wanting to get into the decorating trade, and
brilliant. Yeah,
I feel very strongly about what you're doing and what me and Baz are trying to do as well, because I think myself, I didn't want. I've seen how women can be treated on site. I've heard derogatory comments towards women on site, and I didn't want my daughter ever coming into, whether it's working for me as a decorator
yeah.
or going into another firm as a decorator, and having to going through the same shit that I've seen. And that's maybe no recently. I've no seen, like, I would say it's personally getting better, but obviously I'm no a woman, and hey, no, really, I shouldn't really hear a
It is
voice.
better.
See,
Yeah,
just
it
I'm
is
gonna just
better.
put these two questions into one because I think it'll make a wee bit
Yeah.
more. So, are you seeing more women showing an interest in the trade, and like, what advice would you give the women into pursuing a career? So kind of double loaded question: are you seeing more women, and what would you say to women like to get them to come in? Like, because we've obviously spoke quite freely about the bad
Yeah,
side of the trade. There's obviously good sides of the, not just the
absolutely.
decorating.
Yeah, as I've touched on, like I think there's this preconception, like I've said already, that there's more of like the sexual side of stuff and comments going on than there is, because there really isn't. Like, I would say I get on better with men than I do with women generally. There's a certain kind of women that I get on with, but most of my friends are men, and I've had no issue. And I think I am seeing loads more women wanting to come into the trade. Yes, decorating is the preferred, or most popular, should I say? But there are loads of female electricians, plumbers in across all
Yep.
trade, and for me that's fantastic. And I just want that to keep. I want that to keep going every year. I want there to be more people. And my words to them would be, do it, because it's fantastic. I mean, it's not for everybody, but if you have an inkling, there's a reason you've had that inkling to want to do it. So reach out, like, and the best thing you can do is speak to somebody that's doing it. And you can then speak, so like you could speak to somebody like me who can have a really good chat with you, and by the end of the conversation I'll know whether she's the kind of person that would benefit from like online mentoring, like, or like talking on the phone.
Oh, oh,
Whether I can go straight
no,
in. Have you lost me?
no, we got you.
Have you
We
lost
lost you
me?
for a
Yeah.
wee second.
Sorry, yeah, sorry, my phone just rang. Yeah, so basically, whether they can be mentored through over the phone, or whether they need to go and have work experience, or whether they would work better being employed in a team. Because
Yep.
what we forget is that, like Hannah in my team, she's so successful and she's so good at what she does, but she doesn't want to manage anybody but herself. And there's nothing wrong with that, because what she does already is fantastic. But
Aye.
and she said to me, I have no desire to take anybody else on. She said, I don't want to do that. And she doesn't need to tell me that, because why, that's fine. So I think if I think it's finding what suits them best so that you can then help them, because I didn't work for anybody. Yes, I went to work with my partner at the time, but I wasn't working for him. I was helping him out as my partner, and I just happened to get good, and I thought, sod it, I'm not going to line somebody else's pocket. I'm just going to work for myself. But that's because that's my personality trait. Like, I
Yep.
don't want to work for anybody else. I want to work for myself, and I want to be as successful as possible and earn as much money. And whether you're a man or a woman in a male or a female orientated business, it could be the same with you two. If you decided to change and go into beauty, for example, which is a typically female orientated industry,
Yep.
there's no reason why you can't do that just because you're male or female. And I think they just need to have more conversations with people that are already doing it.
See, so how are you promoting FITT right now? You kind of said earlier that you're not pushing it at the moment, or you're not pushing it as
At the
much. But
moment, sorry, carry on.
no, I was kind of, that was it really. It was just to find out how you were
Yeah,
going to
so
start pushing it again.
I think we started doing Fit Fridays, which was like the Friday focus, which was where every week I would showcase a female tradie basically, and I'd do a
Right.
showcase on them. So I would, like what you will have had to have done to have me on here, you'd have stalked me and found out bits
Yep.
about me and things like that. That's basically what I would do, and then it would all be secret. So it'd either be someone that I've nominated, or people could nominate, so men or women could nominate somebody, and it became really popular. And you know what, it was lovely, and I loved doing it. But and I am, like I say, I am disappointed, and people will wonder where I've gone and what I've been doing. And I think my only answer is that I am only human, and I'm trying to run a business, and I'm also trying to do this females in the trade stuff, and I have let it slip just because I've had so much going on. But it is still there. We are still here, and I am hoping to get my arse in gear and carry it on,
Like you,
just because I think it is important.
you'd kind of said earlier though that it's something that we could actually maybe we could work on together though, because I mean, me and Baz have, like we said, we've got kind of stuff coming up that we can't really say too much about yet. We're stuff to come
Yeah,
in
of
and out,
course.
but there's certainly a lot of things that resonate, and we'll maybe be able to like push FITT as well when we're in, whether that's bringing you along with us, or you taking us along with you kind of thing. But there's
Brilliant.
certainly
Yeah, no.
there's certainly things that could happen there, Baz, isn't there?
Yeah. So, what changes have you seen in the decorating industry, particularly around inclusivity and diversity?
I think the biggest one is seeing loads of female apprentices, which is great.
Yeah.
There just seems to be quite a few popping up, and it's all over the country as well. I've seen loads of decorating apprentices working in male teams, which is fantastic.
Yep.
And I really like to see that, and also meeting them at shows and speaking to them on Instagram and stuff, speaking to the women themselves, and also the team that's employed them. It's lovely to see that their relationships personally and their working relationships, and they're content and happy. Like, it's normal, like it's a normal working relationship, and it just shows that they can happen regardless of the male or female, especially in a male orientated industry. So that the biggest is seeing that. The other thing is as well, which is happening, which a lot of people don't realize, there's a lot of females who are completely changing career at like 30 plus, right up until they're 45, 50, that are just deciding, I don't want to do this anymore, and they're coming into our trade or a skilled trade, which is amazing, because it's just showing that we are very much advocating for any women. We're not just wanting to support the ones that are coming through school or apprentices. I want to support women of all ages, because yes, to some extent, the older you get, the harder it's going to get, and that's why I'm preparing now, pre-30, for my body to deteriorate, because although I'm very like pushing women and that we can do anything that men can do, I am very aware that the female body isn't built for this
And
long
it's a hard
term.
job. It's a
Yeah.
hard bloody job as well. Like,
Physically, it's
It's
really hard.
very
Yeah, and I
physically
don't want to.
demanding.
Yeah, I don't want to be like 50 and not being able, or 50 or 60 and not be able to like pick up my grandkids if I'm lucky enough to have them or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm making plans now. So generally women aren't coming in at that age, but it is nice to see women in their 30s and 40s completely going, fuck this, basically. And I don't blame them, because we spend so much time at work that I don't know how people do jobs that they hate, because I have friends that literally dread like Sunday. They're miserable all of
Yeah.
Sunday, and then
Aye.
like all week they're just waiting for Friday. And I just don't feel like that. Like, don't get me wrong, I
Yeah.
don't get up every day and I'm like happy.
Yeah.
I'm not at all. And I do
You,
have weeks where I'm like, this is hard
yeah,
work. I've got
exactly.
a bad knee, I've got a bad shoulder. But generally I love what I do. And I think trying to push anybody to do something that they love, regardless of whether it's in a trade, it's so important. So yeah, that's kind of the two things. So it's nice to see the apprentices coming in, and also watching them grow, because they literally come in as kids, don't they, like, essentially. And
Aye.
then to see them at the end of their apprenticeship, and then they're running businesses, and you just think this is great. And I know what they've got coming in the next 5 years,
Yeah.
because I've done it. And I also think if they can do that at that age, I did it. I was really lucky, because I didn't start my business till I was 24. So I'd done a degree, I'd had a job, I had a house. Like, it kind of, it was a lot easier for me, because I had a lot of life experience. And these
Yep.
apprentice, they don't always have that, because they're essentially they're teenagers, aren't
They're
they?
school
And so it's
leavers or
great to
something.
see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I,
so lovely to see that.
I think
So
to what you had said, sorry, Baz, what you said at the very beginning as well. Like, see if say for example you're a lady and you're in your 30s right now, and you decide that I want to take on paper hanging, and you go and set a wee course. There'd be nothing wrong with, because you're basically eliminating the kind of shit side of the trade. If you were just coming, if you're in the middle of
Yeah,
London and you can literally just feature walls, come in and hang wallpaper.
yeah,
Can,
yeah. Or hand
see,
painted murals. You
or,
can
or,
be
or
niche
mur-
if you. Yeah,
exactly. Ken, it's obviously
yeah.
my area, or I'm sure you are both the same yourself. Your area kind of negates
Of course
what
it
you're able
does.
to do.
Yeah,
If I was to say, oh, I'm just going to hang wallpaper in my local area, I'd get about maybe
it wouldn't work.
one job a month if we were lucky. But if you're in central
Yeah,
London, you could probably get you could make a probably a really good leaving day and something like that. So,
yeah.
all Ken, there's room for that. There's scope for that there too, isn't there?
yeah. So
Absolutely.
how do you see the role in women in the trade evolving over the next few years?
Um, I think it's only going to continue to grow like it has done. I
Yeah,
mean,
I completely agree with that.
I can only speak for the last 5 years, because I've only been in the industry for the last 5 years. And I knew nothing about it before then. So if it grows as much in the next 5 years as it has as I've been here in this 5 years, then I think that's great, because it is getting better, and every year it's increasing. There's more women. There's it's just good. It should just be becoming the norm. And I think the more that we can do as people in the trade, regardless of whether we're female or male, the better. I do. I really think it's good
Yeah.
for everybody.
And less about like the female side, but where do you see FITT and Cosy Room Interiors in the next 5 years? I know you've kind of answered it through the show, but what's your plan?
So I think from the females in the trading side and that initiative, I would like to have more time I'd like to be able to. I'd like the business, the Cozy Room Interiors, like my business, because I tried to keep them very, very separate,
Right.
because I didn't want it to be through Cozy Room Interiors. But as I've kind of realised that a lot of people said to me that isn't really going to work, because a lot of the things that you're pushing is because of your experience as
And
running
it's
Cozy Room
Yeah,
Interiors.
yeah.
it's basically
And
yourself that you're
it is
in it.
true, yeah, and
Aye.
it is me, yeah. And I think
Yep.
so. I'm trying to keep them separate, but also let them complement each other. So I would like to think that if Cozy Room Interiors can continue to grow and develop, it will financially mean that I can put more time into females in the trade and take time out to do like talks and shows and go into schools, because financially I'll be covered by the business. Because at the
Yep.
end of the day, we all have to live. I've got a mortgage, you know, I've got outgoing, so it's not about money, but we do still have to live at the end of the day. So that's that side. And then from the Cosy Room Interiors side, I just want I want to be getting more spray work to utilize and justify the amount of money and time that I've put into it, which I think will happen. We're not even at the year mark yet in terms of
Yep.
since I got my workshop. And I think I would like a bigger team that I can manage, and I just want us to grow but not lose our reputation of quality, basically.
And final question for you, Georgie. Looking back in your journey so far, what are you proud of, either personally or professionally? What's your proudest moment?
I think there's kind of two. I'd say the proudest moment was probably kind of getting to 5 years, because especially when I kind of had to move and start again after 2.5 years. And I moved, and then I bought my first house on my own, which was just a huge achievement, because I never thought I'd be able to do that. And now I'm on the property ladder, and it's mine, and I don't share that with anybody. And that was a huge achievement for me. And then I think sort of the other one is my relationship with the Abode Academy and my work with them, because they I wouldn't be where I am without them. And I think similarly, my incentive with females in the trade, and then also the stuff with the trade decorator as well, and the things I can do. They all really, the nice thing about it is that obviously Jamie and the Abode Academy sponsor trade decorator, and then
Yep.
also the females in the trade stuff. So Jamie's a really big supporter of that. So all three of those incentives, they just work really, really well together. So there's a few things there, but they're the kind of things that I'm proud of, which kind of go between work and personal.
Amazing. What a brilliant guest. I just want to say
Yeah,
thank you very much for coming on. I think you're very well spoken. You're obviously very switched on in what you're wanting today, and there's loads of good advice for future tradespeople, we'll say, and we'll not just say women, we'll say
yeah,
tradespeople, because I feel like young guys could take a lot of what you've said as well. So I just want to say, for me, thank you very much for coming on.
yeah.
And
It's been quite inspiring.
yep,
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I've
No, it's,
really enjoyed it. You're my first podcast, and I've been kind of putting them off a little bit, but
yeah.
when I got this one, I thought, yeah, I definitely want to go on this one. So,
thank you very
yeah.
much.
So thanks for having me, and thanks for your
Feel
kind
honoured.
words. I've really enjoyed it.
No, thank you very much. I'm sure we'll
Lovely.
have you on again at some point. Um,
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
but no. You got any last words, Sean?
Just remember, folks, this episode's sponsored by Nap and Bristle. For all your decorating supply needs, go to www.napandbristle.co.uk. And thanks for watching.
Have a lovely night.
Thank you.